All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Waiting for the camera to adjust. It should adjust. It's looking a little too blue. A little too blue. Boss, don't make me have to keep my elbow up. It's looking a little too blue. I'm looking a little too pale. But welcome. Welcome back. Press X Podcast. Sunday stream. What is going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well today. Neo, you're saying currently playing RE Remake on Chapter 13. Not been moved much yet. Oh, RE4 Remake. Okay. I loved RE4 Remake. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's a little too blue. I don't know why it's so... I don't know. It's fine, though. It's good enough. Very blue. Press Blue podcast, yeah. But, yeah, appreciate you guys joining me today. We have a few different topics that we're going to go over and discuss over the course of today's stream. There's been some buzz, I guess, regarding the Game Awards. Possibly God of War. I don't know. Yeah, Big Noids, you're saying PlayStation said it's cross, not X. Press cross podcast. Yeah, just feels weird to say it that way, you know? I don't want to say it that way, but it's true. It's technically true. And we have Tarnished, a member for 17 months, saying, hey, membership just ended today. No. I'm back to begging season. Yes, I'm begging. Help us, Rich Rod and Corey Landiga. Well, you're out of luck with Rich, because he like never drops member gifts. He drops direct donations. Occasionally he'll drop a member gift, but Corey, yeah, we'll see if he shows up. He usually drops a couple gifts, and we'll see. We're gonna aim for the member goal of 25 today. Hopefully we can get there. But Tarnished, I do appreciate you being a member for 17 months. MRPD, you're saying waiting for Lego Horizon to come out Tuesday. That's my single player game. Been playing Fox Hunt. Tried Where the Winds Meet, and it's really overwhelming. Oh, MRPD, you're saying you're playing Fox Hunt. What's your username, dude? We probably play against each other all the time, because I know there's not that many people playing. I've been playing Fox Hunt a lot, too. Oh, I'm sorry, Irfan, I missed your, saying MBG, since we have God of War as a topic, I have a video, and holy bleep, you need to watch. Have it up so we can watch it at the end. What's the video, Irfan? Let me see. What is the video? What is it? It's God of War Reimagined. Oh, yeah, I think I came across... I didn't watch that yet, but I think I came across it. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we can end the stream today checking that out. I have to... all right, so hold on. I am just going to brighten this light a little bit, because I feel like it's too... It's like overwhelmingly blue. I thought my camera was going to adjust for it, but it doesn't seem to be doing so. So give me 1 second. And I did see that Josh is saying, how's the Portal Away from Home? I tried it over at my in-laws over Thanksgiving, and it was great, dude. It was great. They have good internet, too, which was the biggest difference maker. But I played some Ghost of Yotei. I tried out some Helldivers even. I played some Fox Hunt. So it was good. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Not the belt. Not the belt dad. Great name. Great name, MRPD. I'll see if I run into you in the coming days. Xanarkin, what's going on, man? Formerly Capcom lawyer, give me 1 second to read your super chat. I'm going to increase the brightness of this light and see if it does anything. Go on, boss. I mean, did that help? I don't know if that helped or not. That's like really bright. You know, hold on. Oh my god. It's like a searchlight on me, dude. I think it's too bright. Oh, wait, there we go. Hold on, it's adjusting well. It's adjusting better now. I don't know if that's better or not. Well, anyway. Formerly Capcom lawyer with a super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. He says it's not God of War, it's the Diablo 4 DLC tease, and they'll announce the Switch 2 version. Jeff would never give something big like God of War away before the show. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, and I agree. It was interesting watching that tease and seeing people kind of trying to connect the dots where it really did start to kind of look like, I don't know. This looks like it may actually be something God of War related, but I still had that level of skepticism because you're not wrong. Jeff Keighley would not give away something that massive. He wouldn't do that, By the way, we are actually in 4K now, okay? The last couple times I was telling you guys that we were streaming at 4K. We actually weren't, and it was because my camera wasn't actually set to 4K. I thought it was. It was not. It was set to 1080p. YouTube as a stream was set to 4K, but we were not actually outputting at 4K. I had to upgrade my USB cord for it. Apparently the one I was using was not capable of outputting at 4K, so we are actually coming through in 4K now, full 4K. So there you go. Just figured I'd let you guys know about that. Let's see. It's a paid Microsoft plug. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like overly negative if it is Diablo, but it's just like, man, I don't know. I feel like a marketing tactic that is not good and not effective is the one where you're like, hey, let's do something really big, like a giant statue / monument in the middle of a desert. Okay? And then let's not tell anybody what it is. Make them think it's a bunch of different games that it's not. So that way, when it's revealed what game it's for, everybody's disappointed. I feel like the marketing is just weird. I just don't understand the way marketers work sometimes, where it's like, why would we think this is a good idea? And it's nothing against Diablo, because I think, yeah, there's still plenty of people. I would assume there's still plenty of people that play Diablo, but I just don't understand like why you would risk. Like, surely you would assume that people are going to think it's a bunch of other games, and I don't know. Maybe that is the tactic, is they want people to think it's a different game. That statue is at the Diablo Studios, dude. That's really funny if true. If it was that obvious, though, why are people going so crazy over it? I didn't recognize it. I don't really play Diablo. If only we knew how much Microsoft paid Jeff for that tweet. I kind of knew something was up when the tweet said thickness. I'm like, thickness? What? I don't, that doesn't sound very God of War like. I'm not sure. It's actually Diablo in California. Diablo players recognized it straight away. Interesting. Yeah. Well, we're going to not, excuse me, we're going to use this as an excuse to kind of just go over what what Santa Monica Studio has been working on and the chances of them showing up at the Game Awards, or just, when we can expect to see them again, what we will see from them when they show up again. Yeah, I saw that too, MRPD. A lot of people thinking it was Tomb Raider related. You missed the boss statue? I felt like I had to get rid of the boss statue because everybody thought it was actually boss for some reason. I'm not even kidding. The amount of people are like, yo, is that a real cat? Like, no, it's not. Like, yes, that's boss, but... Some people even said it was related to Half-Life because the highway next to it's. Oh yeah, Mesa. Yeah, I saw that. People were going crazy. But that's the thing, is it was all orchestrated purposefully, I guess. They wanted that buzz, and I guess they got it. Yeah, Switch 2 version. I wonder how that'll do. And we have PlayStation Pete coming in with a $5 super chat. PlayStation Pete, thank you for that, buddy. He says, Analog 3D sold out, plays N64 games in 4K. Domino's, 50% off week, large pizza, $7.99. I just got Domino's last week, actually. I'm not sure if I got that specific deal or not, but it was good. I was saying, like, when I was eating that Domino's, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the local Domino's near me, they upped their quality or something. It turned out really good. I really enjoyed it. So, shout out to Domino's. All right, guys. So, listen, we are going to go over these topics and dive deep into these discussions. But before I do, I want to ask you to please take a moment and hit that like button. We're sitting at 42 likes. We could easily hit 50 likes. It really helps the streams out, lets me know you guys enjoy them, and also helps with YouTube's algorithm. And before I could even go any further, we have Raven X0 coming in, dropping the first 5 bomb for you guys today. He drops 5 membership gifts. Raven, thank you so much for that, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And if you are lucky enough, we'll see if we can get Tarnished a member gift today, by the way. Tarnished really wants to get a membership. Although it's interesting because it says in the chat you have one. I don't know if maybe today is like the last day and then it runs out. So I don't know, maybe it would be tomorrow. But either way, if you get gifted a membership, all right, make sure when you're done watching today's podcast episode, you go check out some of the members-only content. We have members lounges. The last 2 we did, we're doing reactionary content. We'll probably have more members lounge reactions and hangout sessions coming this week. And we also have done Morning with the Misses. The last one we did was a Thanksgiving special. Again, that's members-only content. You can go check it out. It's a good time, and I think you guys will enjoy it. If you do, consider renewing your membership and supporting the channel on a monthly basis. It really helps. So, Raven, thank you for kicking that off. And yeah, I was going to say, if you guys want to support the channel, we're completely fan-funded. Okay, I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible, and I'm very grateful for that. So if you want to drop membership gifts, become a member, super chats, direct donations, they all contribute, and they all fund the channel. So shout out to the community for that. You need MGS4. Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. I'm actually really excited to talk about that topic. We have Konami once again talking about the future of the Metal Gear Solid series, and the producer, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this. I always read too much into things, but I'm going to do it in this case because I want it to be true. We have the producer of Metal Gear Solid Delta saying he wants to do Metal Gear Solid 4 next, and he seems to hint a little bit at why they might do Metal Gear Solid 4 next and not like 1. So we will discuss that at length. Irfan, you like that? Yeah, it turned out really good. I'm glad you appreciate it, bro. MRPD, you're saying really hope Fable and Gearsy Day come to PS5 day one. Those are the games you're most excited for in terms of Xbox. I think they are. Yeah, I mean, there's like multiple job listings basically confirming that they're making PS5 versions. So I don't think you have to worry much there, MRPD. But we're also going to talk about how the PS5 is doing in Japan now, because Sony officially launched that Japan region-locked digital PS5 at a heavily discounted price, and we know that they're getting obliterated by Nintendo in Japan. So we'll go over that. Well, after the catastrophic MGS Delta, bro, I'm still enjoying it. Still playing Fox Hunt. Boss, come on. No, no, no. Don't start. Don't start. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, Irvin. Is this Mass Effect talk? Did it go back to looking blue again? Guys, is the color like changing in real time? Because I feel like my camera, it keeps like readjusting itself and it goes from warmer to cooler to warmer to cooler. It, like doesn't know what to do. MRPD, you like Fox Hunt? I do too. Yeah. I just I think it's just kind of a shame because it seems clear that Konami's not really going to support it. They're not going to give it any like meaningful updates or anything like that. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. But I feel like it has so much potential, you know? It is really fun. Boss, boss, no, 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 no. All right, well, we're going to start with the first topic, which I want to talk about. I guess we should talk about the Game Awards situation. It does have a blue shift, like time travel. MRPD, you're rank 47. I think I'm ranked like 73 or 4 now. Yeah, I've been putting too much time into it. Way too much. And it takes a long time to level up once you get to those levels. I don't know if there's a max level cap or whatnot. But let's talk about the whole Game Awards situation. What is Jeff Keighley teasing? Well, he originally posted a image that looked like kind of zoomed in, almost like a tree or something, or like a tree with a bunch of carvings or some kind of statue or monument. It looked like it was like made out of wood or whatever. And he said like regal, thickness, inspiring, just weird stuff. And he didn't explain anymore. He didn't explain further. So that set the internet ablaze because we're about like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I guess you could say, from the Game Awards. And so naturally, people immediately were like, this has to be a brand new game tease. That, this is going to be something huge. But specifically, a lot of people, a lot of God of War fans, myself included, I have to admit, I started to think, like, could there be something to this? They started to think that this was a direct tease for a new God of War announcement or some kind of announcement from Santa Monica Studio. And when you look at the imagery and you look at the comparisons, I'll see if it'll let me bring it up. It probably won't. I don't even know if I have the image saved. But people were comparing a lot of the imagery to, I don't have it saved, imagery to what you would see in like God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018. And I have to admit, like, it looked kind of off a little bit. It looked a little bit off. But I also have to admit that it was like, well, yeah, I mean, it looked similar enough. And then it looked like there was like a doorway, and the doorway looked very similar to what you saw on God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Yeah, his tweet got like 10 million views. And if you look at the replies underneath, people are just going crazy. But the big thing for me was kind of what Capcom lawyer was saying. It's that would Jeff Keighley, and Sony for that matter, because it would actually be Sony, would they tease something like this before, like 2 weeks before the show? Has Sony ever done something like this before? As far as I'm aware, when it comes to the Game Awards, they've never done anything like that. But then there is the other angle where, if you look at how many different games people were talking, Tomb Raider, people were talking Elder Scrolls 6, people were talking, again, maybe even like Half-Life, and they were throwing all these different games out there. And there is another possibility that it actually isn't just Diablo, but it's like trying to tease a bunch of stuff that's going to be at the Game Awards. That is a possibility as well. Boss, come on, man. Come on. You don't get treats till 25 members. All right. You got to be patient. No. Boss is like, send me to the Game Awards. But yeah, I was looking over all the images, and I did start to think to myself, like, you know, maybe it is God of War related. Black Ops 8? They're teasing Black Ops 8, absolutely. Some of the imagery was pretty convincing. But yeah, the more I kind of thought about it, I was like, I don't know, man. This doesn't seem like something Sony would do. This doesn't seem like something Santa Monica would do. I feel like if Sony were to announce something major at the Game Awards, like, say, the next God of War, that's something that they want to be a massive surprise and a shock. And, you know, the game of the show, I guess you could say. They want people to go in not expecting it and to walk out being like, oh my God, we got God of War announced, you know? Something along those lines. That's how I believe Sony would want to handle it. That's how they usually handle things like this. But, you know, I saw how excited people were getting, and I kind of wanted to share in that too, you know, and be like, yeah, maybe there is something here. It's just gamers reading way too much into things. And then getting, I have to admit, like, I did put out a post earlier, but I ended up deleting it because I'm like, yeah, it sounds way too salty, where I was like, I just found out this is for Diablo 4. That's very underwhelming. But then people were getting upset because, like, what are you talking about? Like, no one told you to expect anything. I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just annoyed at Jeff. I'm just kidding. And Corey the Legend Landiga, he comes in. He says we're dropping another 5 membership gifts. We know why he does it.
I'm no hero.
He does it for the boss.
Never was. Never
Corey,
will be.
thank you so much, man. Appreciate you consistently dropping some member gifts for the community, man. You've been super consistent, like ultra consistent. Corey, I'm gonna give him a new nickname, Corey Reliable 5 Bomb Landiga. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna make that your nickname. We got to stick with legend. But I appreciate that, man. And he brings us up to 10 members, guys. We'll keep pushing, all right? We'll keep pushing. 15 more. 15 more. We hit the goal. I can give boss a couple treats, and hopefully he leaves me alone. Because, man, he's itching for his fix. All the frustration from the Game Awards or Summer Game Fest come from the fans themselves. Yeah. Hang tight. That's true. It does. I mean, look, are gamers complaining too much these days? Are they too entitled? I guess it depends on who you ask, but it does get a little bit tiring, you know? It can get exhausting when it feels like everything's bad, everything's negative, everything's doom and gloom, and everything's like unrealistically high expectations that no one reasonably should have, you know? Like, there's nothing there. And so that's why I deleted that post, because I'm like, I can't be upset. I can't, because it's like, dude, it's a picture. It's a statue in the desert or something. Like, Game Awards are coming. You know, they'll be here in 2 weeks. We'll watch them together. We'll see what's going to be there. But yes, some people are like losing their minds. But I think a more interesting conversation in regards to God of War and Santa Monica Studio is what's going on over there, right? I think a lot of people here are aware, but just in case you're not, they have multiple projects in development. And there could even be, dare I say, a God of War 1 remake at Blue Point Games. So looking at Santa Monica Studio, the big one that I think people are hoping will show at the Game Awards is Cory Barlog's game. Cory Barlog's game is shrouded in mystery, and it's for good reason. I mean, he did God of War 2018. After that, he basically was like, okay, I'm going to pass Ragnarok off to Eric Williams. And then he said, I'm going to go make something new. I'm going to make something on my own, or not on his own literally, but I'm going to take another team and we're going to make something different. And as far as we are aware, this game has been in development. I don't think it's been officially confirmed it's been in development since 2018 or 2019, but you have to assume it probably began full production anywhere between 2020 and 2021. So it's been in development for many years now, and we haven't had it leak. We haven't had really any substantial rumors that seem to indicate what this game is. But the last we heard of it, and this was like the last substantial rumor we got, was from Jason Schreier, where he confirmed a couple things. He said, number one, it's not a sci-fi game. So it seems like Corey, in true fashion, was messing with us and trying to get us, throw us off the trail and get us to think in a completely wrong direction about what this game is going to be. So Jason Schreier confirmed that this new game is not a sci-fi game. And then the most shocking thing he confirmed, and to me this is still the most surprising thing about Cory Barlog's next game and why people are so eager to see it announced, is it's not a new IP. According to Jason Schreier, this game is something that's already been established, but it's going to feel like a new IP. That's how he described it. It's not actually a new IP, but it's going to feel like a new IP. No, Corey, you didn't miss that discussion yet. We didn't talk about that yet. We're going to get into that after this one. So no worries there. You're saying Barlog did work on Ragnarok? Did he work on it? I could have swore he basically laid everything out for the team and was like, all right, I'm going to leave this to you guys now while I go work on this thing. That was my understanding of it. But yeah, this is, I don't want to speculate too much about what this game could be. We've spent previous streams speculating to no end about what this new Cory Barlog game is. I'll just say, I'll just throw this out here because I've said it before, and while I don't want to speculate too heavily, I do believe it is based in the God of War universe, and I think it's going to star Atreus. I think it's going to be God of Mischief, something along those lines. That's what I'm thinking. But that is one project that is currently in development at Santa Monica, and a lot of people, again, are anticipating it will show up at the Game Awards. So when people saw, what Jeff Keighley posted, and you see God of War trending on Twitter, you see Kratos trending on Twitter, people are just thinking like, okay, maybe it's that new game, or maybe it's just the next mainline God of War, which is another title that's currently in development at Santa Monica. And I think that that's not surprising. Of course, they're making another mainline God of War game. The last rumor we had regarding this title was Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming. He confirmed that Kratos is going to wield some type of Egyptian sword in this upcoming God of War game, which seems to confirm that we're going to be looking at an Egyptian-themed God of War. And Hellbound, another legend comes in and drops 5 more member gifts for you guys. He's keeping the member train rolling towards that 25 in the name of Boss. Boss, calm down. I know you hear my voice going up in pitch. He's like, I'm going to get in position, all right? I'm going to get ready for the treats. Hellbound, thank you so much for another 5 members gifted. That brings us up to 15. Guys, we are 10 away. We are now 10 away from hitting the first goal, hitting 25. If we hit 25, we'll feed the beast here. All right? So keep it going by all means. Jenna, what's going on? You want God of War set in London? I mean, that would be quite the twist, wouldn't it? Kratos time travels. Though. That might not be as bad as we think. God of War 1886. Oh, and I do want to tell you guys as well, because we were just talking about Santa Monica and their new game or Cory Barlog's game, a lot of people, myself included, we were thinking, it's happening. It's actually happening. It's going to be a sequel to The Order 1886, the sequel we never got. No, unfortunately, that's not the case. I think it was Shinobi 602. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but Shinobi 602, I believe, confirmed and shot that down. He said that's not what they're working on. Shinobi 602 knows what Cory Barlog's new game is, but he won't reveal what it is, which is, you can respect that. He's choosing not to spoil it. And there seems to be multiple industry insiders that know what this game is, but they refuse to spoil it. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what this title ends up being. But then, of course, you have the next mainline God of War. Again, Tom Henderson confirms that Kratos is going to be there. He's going to wield an Egyptian sword, which sounds like it's going to be awesome. I'm thinking Atreus will not be with him at the end of God of War Ragnarok. Atreus kind of, it's made clear he's going to go on his own journey, separate from whatever Kratos is going to do next. All right. I know, boss. I know. Hang tight. Oh, Irfan's got it ready to go. Let me see. He's got it ready to go. Oh, when was this? I must have missed this. Or maybe I covered it and I forgot about it. But really quick, talking about The Order 1886, August 7th, 2024, Meta has shut down longtime studio Ready at Dawn. Man, I forgot that Ready at Dawn was shut down. That's such a shame. Developers behind games like Daxter, God of War Chains of Olympus, and Ghost of Sparta, The Order 1886, and VR hit Lone Echo series. And Shinobi 602 follows up, and he said, from what I knew, they had awesome plans in place for a sequel to The Order before Meta got them, with the engine already in place, which took up a ton of time and resources in the first one. They were going to put everything into the gameplay experience next. I bet we could have seen an AC to AC2 level jump. And the more I'm thinking about it, oh, hold on, sorry about that. The more I'm thinking about it, I recall now, I think it was earlier this year, the previous studio head or the former studio head was talking about the sequel and how they really, they were going to go all in, man. It's such a shame. That's such a shame. I'm telling you, we could see, The Order would be a franchise that's standing as tall as even games like Horizon, I believe. Like if it was given another chance, I think, or I could see it maybe having like the same trajectory as something like Uncharted, Just my opinion. But continuing to talk about Santa Monica, there is one other God of War project that is apparently in development. That is the 2.5D Metroidvania God of War type game that I don't know if it's going to be like a pure side. I don't know if it'll be like a side scroller or if it's going to be more like Hades or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But that is confirmed, seemingly, to be a real project, and it's been in development for some time. Santa Monica themselves is not developing that project. It's actually another team that they're working with, or I guess like helping them or just guiding them with the development of that. The interesting thing about that 2.5D God of War game is apparently it's going to take place before Kratos became a god. So that's going to be super interesting to see. Maybe that's a reveal that could take place at the Game Awards. So we could see God of War / Santa Monica at some point. But the important thing here to note is that when it comes to the God of War franchise and Santa Monica Studio, in total, there are basically like 3 projects in development. And these games, every one of these games has been in development now for multiple years. The next God of War, obviously they started that probably not too long after Ragnarok shipped, so it's been a few years. We talked about how long Cory Barlog's game has been in development for, many years, and then this 2.5D God of War game seemingly has also been in development for a couple of years. So I'm just throwing this out here because even though this tease from Jeff Keighley seems to, as far as I'm aware, it seems to not have anything to do with God of War, we could still see something God of War potentially show up at the Game Awards. Now, that's not me saying hang on to that and assume. I'm just saying not all hope is lost. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. MBG, did you see that Cyberpunk 2077 got to 35 million ahead of Witcher 3 in terms of time? Witcher is currently over 60 million. Also, CD Projekt Red want to release a new Witcher trilogy over a 6-year period now that they have the Unreal Engine down. I did see that. Yeah, it's very impressive. I think CD Projekt Red has really established themselves as like a top dog studio, you know? MBG, the first God of War took place before Kratos was a god. That's true. Right? Yeah? I mean, I still have to brush up on like Kratos' beginnings, but I know that he led the Spartan army and basically he was defeated. And that's when he called to was it Hades, right? Can we just take a moment to talk about how Sony has still, like, why does Sony refuse to just make a proper playable version of the God of War trilogy on PlayStation? Well, I mean, you can stream it. But I don't understand, man. He was always a demigod. Ares. Yeah, what did I say? Hades? Ares, my bad. Yeah. Well, dude, my whole thing with the original God of War trilogy is like, I know Sony's really, really proud. I mean, Sony's proud of God of War. I know they're really proud of God of War 2018 and Ragnarok and like the newer Kratos and the newer versions of God of War. But I just think it's absolutely insane that they still haven't released a proper trilogy. Like just a collection of like, here you go. If you buy a PS5 and you want to play the first 3 God of War games for like $30, $10 each, you know? Boom, boom, boom. I think that's absurd. And I don't know why they haven't done anything. I don't know if maybe it's like a Santa Monica decision where like they don't want to for whatever reason. I mean, even this year was the 20th anniversary of God of War. I remember earlier in the year we kept talking about the idea of a remaster trilogy, and they didn't. Dude, they announced that controller, the DualSense, and people were like, "You serious? Are you serious right now, Sony? Stop living in the past, make new games." Well, no, I mean, I know people get tired of the remasters and the remakes, but I think this is one of those situations where it's like it would require minimal effort and it's absolutely worthwhile. I'm just saying, man, I think it's bizarre that we're in a situation where it's like, oh, you want to play God of War 1 and 2? Yeah, you're going to have to subscribe to PS Plus Premium and stream it. And it's like, can I just like buy it and play it on my PS5? No, you cannot. Like, come on, Sony. I mean, I've been waiting, man. I've been waiting, and I'm starting to think they're just not going to do it. Like, I'm starting to think that, yeah, I'm going to just have to subscribe to PS Plus Premium and stream it, which is crazy. All right. Whoa, that's really large. Okay. I just saw that pop up. If you keep the ports up to date, you can't put a $70 price tag on a minimal effort remake. Well, that's the final thing I wanted to mention here in regards to God of War. It's that the other project that may possibly be in development. Yeah, I forget about that too. You guys are saying I could emulate. Yeah, I know, but I think you understand where I'm coming from, right? Where it's just like, look, I play on PS5. It is absurd to me that it's like, if you want the best experience for God of War 1 through, well, I guess not 3, because 3, they have the remaster for PS4, but like at least 1 and 2, you have to do that off PS5. I'm like, that's crazy. I like, considering God of War is still one of the only like super relevant franchises that Sony, like from the earlier PlayStation days, that Sony really has grown. I don't know. This is Jim Ryan's fault. It's obviously Jim Ryan's fault. You know, he was playing Gran Turismo 4 or something and was like, who would ever want to play this? Why? Why would anybody want to go back and play this? But Blue Point Games, this is the final, as far as I'm aware, final thing regarding a God of War game potentially that is in the works. Blue Point Games helped develop God of War Ragnarok as a support studio. When they were finished helping with God of War Ragnarok, they pitched Sony a live service God of War game, to which Sony said yes. And we actually recently got leaked images, a bunch of leaked images of this God of War live service game, and it seems like Blue Point Games that is, it seems like they put a decent amount of work into recreating certain aspects of the Greek era. So it seems like this God of War multiplayer game may have actually been set during the Greek era, although there was some stuff from seemingly Ragnarok and God of War 2018 as well, so it could have been like a mix of both. But yeah, they put some work into this, and as we know, it got canceled, so they had about 2.5 years of development of this God of War live service. It got canceled. Now we know that Blue Point is working on another project, and the description of this project is a third-person melee action game with some puzzle elements. So when you consider what they've been working on for pretty much this entire generation, you know, God of War, except for Demon Souls. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in. He drops 10 membership gifts for you guys. Corey's like, I can't stand to see my boy suffering no more. We got to feed the beast. Corey does the heavy lift for you guys today. He drops, 15 memberships in total. You love to see it.
Holy shit.
Corey, thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate that. So that's the first goal and the most important one, crushed. Appreciate everybody who's contributed to that. We'll see if we can keep it going. But for now, we got to feed Boss. He's waited long enough.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
I do have to... It's easy. Don't attack me now. I do have to count the treats out, as you know. I am serious about Boss's diet. I'm trying to make damn sure not to overfeed him, you know? Trying to keep him healthy. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. I'll give you 11 this time, Boss. All right, that's fine. We're within range. 15 is the serving size. We'll give him 11. There you go, Boss. Leia, you want a couple? Here. You guys can't see her, but Leia's down here. She's going to eat a couple too. So yeah, Corey, once again, thank you so much for 10 more membership gifts, man. And thank you guys for getting us to the 25 mark. We'll see as the stream goes on if we can end up hitting that 50 mark. He's about to be knocked out. He might, yeah. I like to think he's starting to get used to just having 10 treats. I used to give him a lot more, but I realize now that he's definitely gained some weight. So I got to bring him down and weight a little bit. Got to keep him healthy. That's the most important thing. Xanarkin says, strict diet for Boss. There's no way they're gone already. Dude, it was literally 20 seconds, man. Oh, boy. Okay. Do you guys see this? He literally inhaled them. It's been 20 seconds, Boss. Well, there you go. You got... How many you got there? All right, he had 3 more. Leia left 3. All right, well, he's still appreciative, guys. He still appreciates... he still appreciates the 10 treats or the 11 treats. No, Diego, what's that? What are you talking about? Oh, my bad. Yeah, Diego, I do know what you're talking about, actually. Sorry about that. We might talk about that tomorrow, potentially. Boss is soon to earn the title of Chubbs. I think he might already be there. I'm going to be honest. Put him on a treadmill. I don't think Boss would like a treadmill. I know, Irfan. He'll torture me the whole time I'm streaming. As soon as he gets his treats, he's like, all right, I'm out. My job here's done. All right, let's get back on topic here. Guys, yeah, make sure you're hitting that like button. We're sitting at 68 likes. Let's see if we can bump that up to 75, and then from 75 to 100. It helps the streams quite a bit. Chris, what was your above message? Let me see. Chris, I don't think your message came through, man. Let me check your channel activity. You're saying no matter how good an internet you have, there's still noticeable compression due to that stupid bitrate limit. What is that in regards to? Oh, are you talking about the PlayStation Portal? Or are you talking about my stream? I think you might be talking about the Portal. But I did get your message. I'm just not sure what it's in regards to. And we have Xanarkin Blitzer, longtime member, 51 months at Play Has No Limits. Thank you for that, Xanarkin. You're saying, MBG, I thought we agreed that you would pronounce my name with the weird pronunciation until you play Final Fantasy X, brother. Oh, yeah. You're right. Wait, how did I say it? Now I'm confused because I think I've been saying it the right way. I've been saying it Xanarkand. There we go. All right, Xanarkand Blitzer. You're absolutely right. We did agree on that. I'm sorry. That's my fault. How come I just started saying it right? I didn't do that intentionally. Xanarkand. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for reminding me. Very good use of your milestone chat. Keeping me in check. Keeping me in line. Oh, you're saying the PlayStation Portal has a bitrate limit of 15 megabytes per second. Okay. I didn't know that. Boss versus Leia and Luna. Boss might get his butt kicked by the ladies. Oh, he would. He'll get wrecked. He'll get absolutely wrecked. Boss, you can't do this now. I have to continue to talk about the topics. You can't do this. I already gave you your treats. You already won, dude. The game's over. It's time for you to go sleep. Go to sleep. All right. Yeah, getting back to the discussion at hand. Sorry about that. Blue Point Games. It seems like there's a very good chance that Blue Point Games is working on a God of War remake, like a full God of War 1 from the ground up remake. We don't have much proof of this, but there is seemingly dots to be connected, I guess you could say. That if they're not working on that, then it's going to be a pretty big surprise, whatever they're working on, which is also good. I wouldn't mind that. I don't know how many people are eager for something like a God of War 1 remake from the ground up. I think we do all agree, though, that if Blue Point were to do a God of War 1 remake, they're the studio that would do it justice. That's the studio you want doing it. But I just had to throw that in there because that is another potential God of War project that is in the works right now. And that's just in regards to games. We do know that there is the God of War TV series that they're working on, which I believe is... I think they said it's going to start filming early next year. And is that one going to be on Amazon? I think it's going to be on Amazon Prime. So that might be the most cursed thing ever made. We're not sure. We're hopeful. Boss, really quick before we continue, I'm going to give Luna a couple treats. They're not for you. They're for Luna. Luna didn't get any yet. Boss, go back to sleep. He's like, don't you touch me. So, yeah. Game Awards 2025. Hurry up, Luna. Eat those treats. I'm trying to keep the beast at bay. I swear to God, like, the first hour of this show, every podcast episode is basically like, I may as well just name it Press X to feed the beast. I mean, I call it like, or press cross to feed the beast, whatever you prefer. I may as well. Amazon has unlimited budget. It's the best option if you want to go crazy with the visuals. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the show will have some kind of limit, but really curious who they end up casting as Kratos. I think everybody's curious about that. But there's a lot going on with the God of War franchise behind the scenes. And it's still a little bit shocking to me that this year was the 20th anniversary, and really all we got was that Ragnarok update, which it was a nice update. It was a nice little update they did to celebrate the 20-year anniversary. But outside of that, they did the DualSense. You would have thought that, well, to be fair, the year's not over yet. To be fair, we still have the Game Awards. God of War could show up there, but Mr. B, you're saying, I think we'll see Santa Monica show up at the Game Awards in some way, probably the God of War spinoff. It feels like the timing is right. I don't want to get ahead of myself, though. Like, I don't want to just assume that they're going to be there, you know? I want to be a little bit hopeful, but I don't know. Sony does have Wolverine coming up. They have Saros. But you do kind of get this feeling like there's maybe a little bit more, right? Like, surely those are not the only two games. We also know that Marathon's still coming. So I don't know how many people are interested in seeing a Marathon re-reveal, but the Game Awards could be where we see it. They'll announce it on December 31st at 11:59 p.m. That would technically still fall within this year. Yes. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, we'll have to pay attention and see what else Jeff Keighley is going to tease leading up to the Game Awards. I have a feeling this is not the only one. Yeah, I remember that too, Mr. B. Thank you for pointing that out. You're saying Jeff Grubb, who's a pretty well-known insider, he says, or he said that he was expecting the God of War spinoff, the 2.5D game, to show up earlier this year. Yeah, I remember, man, every time we went into a state of play, it was like, I think this is where it's going to show up. Now it's ready. There was some kind of, I guess you could call it a rumor. I don't remember where I heard it or where I read it, but I remember we were talking about how the game may have actually gotten delayed because they decided they wanted to add voice acting to it, which, yeah, that would be a really good reason to delay it. And I feel like if you're going to do a God of War side project like this, adding voice acting would go a long way. I think it would be pretty disappointing to some people. Yeah, that's right. Correct. Thank you, Mr. B. Tom Henderson also corroborated that. So for one reason or another, it seemingly the announcement itself got delayed. And also it would explain further, like, well, we did have an announcement ready to go for the 20th anniversary, but, you know, due to certain unforeseen circumstances, we had to delay it. But again, if it shows up at the Game Awards, that still counts as 2025. So, not all hope is lost. Got one more month. Marathon could end up big. Let's not ignore it. We kind of did the same thing with Helldivers 2. That's true. I'm not going to count Bungie out yet. I mean, you guys know I'm pretty negative towards Bungie. I don't hide that at all. But if I'm being like my most reasonable and unbiased and objective, I'm not going to count Bungie out. I think it's too soon. I think they have a chance, just like any other development team would. And you can't really predict, just like we couldn't with Helldivers 2, no matter how big or how small, how well or how unknown the team is. You can't predict what the next big thing's going to be. So we'll see. It got delayed because they're making an Xbox version 2. Could you imagine if that was the cause for the delay? Don't remind me, Capono. Don't remind me. Yeah, people are still hoping for Half-Life 3. Yeah, those rumors really died down quickly. So I don't know what to think of that. I'm not sure. People were telling me how like Jeff Keighley has a long history with Valve, and because of that, they believe that Half-Life 3 could actually be a game that's shown at the Game Awards. We'll see, though. We'll see. Game Awards are approaching ever closer to elation or immense disappointment. This year, they should probably just call it the Claire Obscure Awards, though. Let's be honest. You know, before we move on, I want to ask you guys, do you agree with some people? They say Claire Obscure overrated. People won't shut up about it. It's too much glazing going on. I personally don't agree with it. I think it deserves it. Game is awesome. But I'm just curious. I'm curious what some of you think. Wow, Irfan, that's brutal. You're going to have to stay up till 4 a.m. to watch the Game Awards? That's commitment, though. That's commitment. Irfan, you do think it's a little overrated. Joshua, I was asking about Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. It's basically asking if you guys agree with the sentiment that some people have, that it's overrated. It's beyond too much glazing at this point, you're saying, Ryan? Quite a few of you said you haven't played it yet. Petrov says no, it's a 10 out of 10 game. Downgrading your own shows just to have an announcement at the Game Awards? We don't know that yet, Marius. We don't know. We don't know what Sony's presence at the Game Awards is going to be yet. Shams, you're saying Expedition 33 deserves the win. New studio debut game this good. Hotshot says there is no such thing as a perfect game. Big Noids says you hear that all the time. The Last of Us, The Witcher 3, all swept up and all overrated apparently. Tarnished says it is overglazed. Overglazed. Crazy way to describe it. Alexander says, nope, the game is amazing. We have Hideo Kojima in the chat saying Until Dawn 2 is going to be there. Well, you heard it here first. Hideo Kojima letting us know. MBG played Persona 5 since you played Expedition 33. Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I know they're both turn-based RPGs, but Persona, in terms of visual style and overall presentation, seems like the polar opposite of Expedition 33 to me. Am I wrong about that? I don't know if I can get into a game like Persona. I don't know. Never say never. Please don't fight. Boss, Luna is doing nothing but just laying there. She's not doing a single thing to you, and you feel the need to hiss at her and meow at her like she's disturbing your soul. Get a grip, boss. Will says, don't ever play Persona 5, MBG. We have a formerly Capcom lawyer with a super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, Jeff's first job was when he was 15. Valve invited him to have early access to Half-Life 1 back in the 90s. Expedition 33 is getting the same treatment / hate that Baldur's Gate 3 got. Oh, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 was a big one, too. That was pretty divisive in some sense. Yeah, I knew Jeff Keighley had some kind of history with Valve. I didn't realize it was that, though. I didn't know it went back that far. Man, Jeff's been in the industry for a long time, dude. Sometimes I forget he's kind of like older now. Like, he doesn't look that old. But that's the thing. You're saying when he was 15. That's super young, dude. He's just a teenager. Yeah, I mean, when I read something like that, it makes me think, like, maybe, just maybe, he could secure that Half-Life 3 reveal. It's possible. Actually, Kojima will be there with Death Stranding 2 for PC. It just got rated. So I do want to mention, I don't know how I didn't put this together. I guess it's just because as the years go by, I just forget certain things. People were letting me know, they're like, MBG, listen, man. Not to necessarily downplay your entire conversation about what Death Stranding 2 on the beach being rated for PC means for PlayStation's overall PC strategy. But it seems like you may have forgotten that Death Stranding launched on PC 8 months after it launched on PS4. And yes, I somehow, for some reason, completely forgot that was a thing that happened. I don't know why. I think the reason why in my mind I'm so confused about the timing of Death Stranding 1 launching on the other platforms is because it was so staggered, where it was like PC, then the director's cut, then the PC Game Pass version, then eventually the Xbox version, and it was just, and there was like a mobile version as well. There was like all these different versions, and so I had completely forgotten that Death Stranding 1 made its way to PC only 8 months after it released on PS4. So with that in mind, it basically makes not the entire conversation, but most of what I had to say kind of null and void, because it's like, well, you can't really read into a game like Death Stranding 2 going to PC. Yeah, it's like 8 months then, 8 months again. What does it mean? I don't think it means anything. So basically, we're right back to where we started. Zenarkand says, MBG, when is the MGS4 remake rumor discussion? I'm still waiting, brother. It's starting right now, Zenarkand. Right now. You don't have to wait. Kept you waiting, huh? Ooh, tough crowd. All right. That's true. Sony is publishing it this time, which it would be crazy if they didn't. I feel like at that point, Sony's actively saying, we don't want your money. We don't want money for this. We're good. Considering Sony's publishing their own games on PC at this point, it'd be wild if they're like, Kojima, get out of here. But yeah, we are going to move on to that conversation. All right, so I have a report here from Gaming Bolt, and I don't know how my screen is so bright. I do apologize if when I'm switching tabs, if the screen gets ridiculously bright or I'm like totally, like the entire screen is whitewashed. I do apologize. But I have a report here from Gaming Bolt. It says Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater has done quite well for Konami, earning accolades and selling over 1 million copies within its first week, while Metal Gear Solid The Master Collection Volume 2 is, quote, moving forward properly, end quote. What's next in terms of a new mainline project or multiple projects? Series producer Noriaki Akamura is still mulling it over. Quote, having created an opportunity for new people to experience the Metal Gear series, I do feel a desire to continue with it, end quote. This is what he told Real Sound in a recent interview. The translation comes via Deep L. Major L. He's still undecided on pursuing another remake or perhaps challenge with an entirely new work. The Metal Gear series is like the history of video games itself, spanning from pixel art to cinematic expressions. Each title requires a different approach to remaking and presenting it. To that end, Akamura doesn't want to use the same methodology, as he says, from Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater for each title. Instead, we will explore the optimal approach for each individual work. And while the team is currently exploring concrete plans for the next steps, some of these are like them saying they're exploring concrete plans is in quotes, he's personally, quote, quite hopeful about a remake of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. He continues, the hardware back then demanded quite a specialized approach to achieve 3D performance with the technology available at the time, and Metal Gear Solid 4 ended up with some rather peculiar code too. Bringing it forward now would be quite a challenge, wouldn't it? And he said that while laughing. Says, released in 2008 exclusively for PlayStation 3, Metal Gear Solid 4 remains the only title in the series to not receive an HD port or re-release. Considering how important it is to the overall storyline, serving as the culmination of many long-time character arcs, its absence remains conspicuous. So, this is some interesting insight, I think, we're getting from the producer. Well, really quick, I would use dark mode, but... Well, I use light mode on Twitter, but some of these websites, they just don't let you. Like Gaming Bolt, they're all white. Can't use dark mode. Got to deal with it. I should probably just lower the brightness of my monitor, truthfully. But this is, I would say, quite interesting because we are looking at what I believe to be potential confirmation. I'm not saying full confirmation, I'm just saying potential. Potential confirmation that Metal Gear Solid 4 may in fact be the next game Konami's going to remake in the Metal Gear series. And there's quite a few reasons why I think they're going to do this. Sorry, I'm just a little bit distracted. Jake says MBG stated the K3 is currently facing some delays with reports suggesting it may be delayed until 2027. Oh, well, you know what? It's all good, Jake. I was expecting that game to be a 2027 title anyway. Yeah. I just hope it turns out good. And before I continue with my reasons as to why I think MGS4 is next, Tarnished says MBG Expedition 33 can be amazing and can be overglazed at the same time. But hey, doesn't that just explain that someone likes it more than the other person? So who am I to say it's overglazed, right? No, I agree entirely. It's well put. Two things can be true at the same time because there's multiple people with multiple opinions, right? Unleash that beast from the cage that is the PS3. Carl is saying bright light. Bright light. I can't tell. My lighting is either good today or it's like way too bright. I'm not sure. I'm no lighting expert, as you can tell. So, I'm sorry. But yes, Metal Gear Solid 4 seems like it may actually be the next true remake after Delta. And I think the producer here, because again, this isn't just some random developer working on the Metal Gear series. This is the producer of the series now. He's saying he would personally like to see Metal Gear Solid 4, but then, and I think this is the giveaway, I think he might be telegraphing what's going on. Petrov, you're saying it's a bit bright. Yeah. Hold on. I want to check something. I'm sorry. God, I feel so... I hope people who listen to this stream, or any of my streams, I hope that they appreciate how broken up it is. Where it's like, bro, I want you to just tell me why. I'm like, well, we'll get there. Hold on. Camera's got to refocus. All right, there we go. That's much better, right? Wow. Okay, that was like way too bright. I did not realize just how bright that was. Oh man. Okay. Thank you guys for bearing with me. Every time I'm messing with the lighting, I got to get it just right. I think we're good. I think we're good now. All right. So Narcan, never. You'll never get me to the dark side, bro. Carl, you're saying you were just quoting Gremlins. No, I know you were quoting something, but I'm like, maybe you're right though. Maybe it's an appropriate quote to use right now. That was like the Day of Judgment. Well, hopefully it looks better now. All right, back on topic. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place, guys. I do apologize. So I think the dead giveaway that the Metal Gear Solid producer gives here is when he says, yeah, I would like to do Metal Gear Solid 4 next, personally, but then follows it up by saying, you know, it's got really strange code on the PS3, and it might be difficult to do it any other way. Like, this comes not too long after he confirmed, essentially, well, he didn't essentially, he did straight up confirm that they're working on the second volume of the Metal Gear Solid collection. And obviously everybody's wondering what that's going to be. Come on, go. And I'll tell you right now, man. Yeah, that's true. That would be worse. I'll tell you right now. If for some reason Konami can't, or they decided they're not going to put Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots in the Volume 2 collection for Metal Gear Solid, no matter how good the reason is, like we just literally couldn't figure it out, we're going to have to like reverse engineer this entire game and rebuild it from the ground up. People are going to lose their minds. I can tell you that right now. Metal Gear fans are going to lose their minds. The only way they would be okay with it, I think, or accept it, is if they're like, okay, the next remake is going to be Metal Gear Solid 4. And we're choosing to do this remake because it's the only way we can get this game off of PS3. And it's going to be a massive effort, and it's going to take a ton of effort, right? Again, to just kind of reconstruct this entire game. I feel like fans would still be a little bit upset that they're not just going to get a remaster. But I think they would accept that because if Konami's honest about it and they're like, listen, this is the only way, people, I think, at that point will just celebrate the fact that finally it's going to be freed from the PS3. We're going to have to wait a little bit, but it's going to happen. And I have a couple of other reasons why I think they're going to go with MGS4. Some of them I think make logical sense. Some of them are just my personal bias, okay? So one of these reasons is, well, let's take a look at the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, or Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. One of the biggest changes they made, and I'm glad they did, it felt like a necessary change, was the more modernized, contemporary, third-person, over-the-shoulder shooting, as well as just, gameplay overall. This, to me, when they showed it off for the first time, felt like a major relief because I'm like, yes, that looks like what you would see in Metal Gear Solid 4 or Metal Gear Solid 5. If you recall, and I don't know how many of you guys do recall this, but in Metal Gear Solid 3, originally, that over-the-shoulder view didn't exist. You basically had first person, and even though you had a 360-degree camera rotation, it still wasn't like proper over-the-shoulder, right? Them introducing that in Delta was probably the biggest literal game changer in that it really did the heavy lifting to make it, outside of the graphics, of course, in terms of gameplay, it did the heavy lifting to make it feel more modern. And I've been playing the Metal Gear Solid Delta Fox Hunt multiplayer, and I can confirm that, like, yes, this multiplayer environment, vastly different from the original Metal Gear Solid 3 multiplayer that they launched with Metal Gear Online 1. And it feels so dramatically different because of the new modern camera. So when you're thinking about, if you are Konami and you're thinking about what Metal Gear Solid game to remake next, you have a lot of different options, but whatever game you choose, you know it's going to take multiple years. It's not going to be a cheap thing. It's going to be a pretty significant undertaking, just like Metal Gear Solid 3 was. I feel like MGS4, it's like right there, bro. It's like people want it. They want to see it freed from the PS3. You only get gameplay improvements and enhancements. MGS3 to MGS4. MGS4 has some of the most complex, and I know this sounds like a bad thing at first, but it's not. It has some of the most complex and even just kind of unexpected control schemes where it's easy to pick up and play, like basically, but there are so many different things you can do. Like, for example, in Metal Gear Solid Delta, they ultra simplified CQC where and this is smart of them because this is how it was in Metal Gear Solid 3, where you just kind of run up to them, you press the CQC button and you like slam them to the ground and knock them out. In MGS4, you have all these different variations of how you can CQC somebody. You can like take them to the ground and all this different stuff. And I'm just saying, like, there are the natural improvements and iterations that are there from 3 to 4, just from Kojima and his team. If you're Konami and you're thinking, well, we want to remake another game and it's got to be better than Delta, right? Like, people are going to expect something on par or better. I feel like it just naturally lends itself to that. But there is another reason I think here they might want to do 4. Actually, scratch that. There's a major reason why they might not want to do 4. Okay. I think the biggest reason they should reconsider doing Metal Gear Solid 4 Remake next is because, man, if you are a new player in the Metal Gear series, like let's say Delta is your first introduction to Metal Gear Solid. In fact, I can say this because I've encountered people on my channel where they said it was their first time playing it. You are screwed. Sorry, but you are. You're going to go from Metal Gear Solid 3 to Metal Gear Solid 4. And in that timeline, you're talking about going from the very first to what is essentially the last, not counting Metal Gear Rising. You're in... It feels wrong. I'm gonna be honest. It feels wrong. It feels like if they were to choose to do that, knowing that you're going to be getting first time players or people who were first time players with Delta, and then you're throwing them in the deep end with 4. Whew, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know. So from a story perspective, from a continuity perspective, that might be an absolute disaster. But outside of that, there is one other reason, and this is my selfish reason why I want to see Metal Gear Solid 4 be the next remake. MGS4 is obviously a nostalgia game for MVG, but it'd be better for them to do the better ones. Well, yeah, so the nostalgia really kicks in. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid 4, the story is amazing. I love MGS4. It is a nostalgic game for me. It was there in a really, but important part of my life. And MGS4 plays an integral part of that. The Metal Gear series has always been there, but MGS4 was really there. I mean, that was like, I don't know, man. I'll never forget how hyped I was for that game. Metal Gear Online 2. So for those who are unaware, when Metal Gear Solid 3 shipped exclusively on the PS3, it also shipped with the second iteration of Metal Gear Online. And I don't know how many Metal Gear Online veterans we have here, but many, if not pretty much all, Metal Gear Solid fans who played any of the multiplayer throughout its history, they all seem to be in agreement, and I agree with them, that Metal Gear Online 2 is the peak of a multiplayer Metal Gear experience. It was doing so many things right. It truly had a unique feel to it that captured the Metal Gear essence perfectly. The major problem is Metal Gear Online 2 died within 4 years. I think they shut it down in 2012. It died because Konami did not integrate the online into the PlayStation Network. And they did it on their own terms. And I will never forget how when you were playing Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3, you're playing Metal Gear Online 2, they release an expansion pack. You have to buy the expansion pack through Konami's Portal website. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And it was also their undoing for that game because they didn't know how to handle hackers and cheaters, and the game was constantly ruined pretty much by people hacking and cheating. And there was nothing Konami could really do about it. They didn't have like that, I guess you could say, added layer of security for, like being integrated with the PlayStation Network and whatnot. So it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare, and it ultimately resulted in them having to shut it down. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I saw what they did with Metal Gear Solid Delta, where they're like, hey, we're going to make this little Fox Hunt multiplayer mode, which I've been, again, playing a ton of. And I realized, like, quite a bit of thought went into this. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. And by that, I mean, I don't think they're going to be updating the game. They're not going to be supporting it. I still think they could make it a free-to-play download, and it would save it and bring a ton of players in. But I always kind of got this feeling as I've been playing this that this is like a test bed of some kind. And so, I guess I'm just saying that if they choose to remake Metal Gear Solid 4 for PS5, then they could probably remake Metal Gear Online 2 or do something with it. My God, why does my nose itch so much, dude? Allergies have been crazy today. Oh, I'm about to get a nosebleed. Air's been so dry. We have a super chat from Zenarkand Blitzer. He says, MBG, I don't think they're... Hold on. I don't know why they're thinking of remaking MGS4 before 1. MGS4 is the Solid Snake Saga finale. New fans should play Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 and 2. Yeah, I do feel like Konami could kind of protect themselves by being like, well, listen, if you're a new fan, we did do the collection for Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, right? And then we remade 3, and actually bringing in the Master Collection into the conversation, that actually leans more so into the direction of them remaking 4. Because that's like the main one that's missing, right? And we all just assumed that it would be there in the next collection, the Volume 2 collection. But now with what this producer said, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I feel like the Metal Gear Solid producer, with the way he worded this, I think he kind of low-key confirmed that MGS4 is not going to be in Volume 2. I think that's what he basically low-key confirmed, because I don't know why he would say that, knowing that everybody's expecting it in Volume 2. They already confirmed Volume 2 is coming, and they're working on it. I mean, you can imagine Peace Walker will be on Volume 2. Maybe Portable Ops. I don't know if they would do Portable Ops or not. Metal Gear Solid 5. But I don't know, man. If 4 isn't on there, fans are going to be pretty upset. I just don't know why he would say that. Like, I don't know why he would say it would be... I don't know. Unless maybe they're considering remastering it or just porting it over. He's just making it sound like they don't know what to do with MGS4. And formerly Capcom lawyer saying online with Delta shows MGS has no future online. Maybe not. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm just going to throw this out here. Konami, please release Fox Hunt as a free-to-play standalone download on the PlayStation Store. Please do that. Please do it. Because, yeah, there's like hardly anybody playing it. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be updating it. So it's like, just release it. Just let people, I don't know, man. I want to believe. I want to believe. But yeah, Zanarkhan, I do agree. Like I said, I think if they chose to remake Metal Gear Solid 4 first, it's it runs such a high risk of just like destroying new fans' brains, where they're like, oh, so this is like old Big Boss now. It's like, no. So who is it? Oh, it's Solid Snake. Oh, okay. He's Big Boss's son, technically. Gotcha. All right. Wait, who's this? Liquid Ocelot? What's going on? I mean, people are going to be so confused. I can't even, dude. I would love to watch somebody who just played Delta go from Delta, like that's their only experience with Metal Gear, into Metal Gear Solid 4. That'd be nuts. Take off the nostalgia goggles. I mean, I would agree with that if Fox Hunt wasn't fun. Like it. Now listen, I streamed Fox Hunt a couple of times and I was getting kind of frustrated. I've improved greatly. I've gotten a lot better at it. There's still some BS though. There's still some BS. Performance is better now too. But I'm just saying, if they want to like go for a bigger play with some type of Metal Gear Solid multiplayer, pairing up a proper Metal Gear Online remake or, you know, a reimagining of Metal Gear Online alongside the remake of Metal Gear Solid 4 would make the most sense. It would make the most sense. Shems, you're heading out, man? I appreciate you hanging around. Appreciate you hanging around the stream, Shems. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. MBG, you're saying, yeah, new fans confused with Liquid and Solid Snake. You think it's too slow for today's online gamers? Xanarkin, you're heading out, man? All right, bro. Appreciate you guys stopping by for a while. Yeah, we'll see how long today's stream goes on for. Well, what's interesting to me is just when you look at the timeline for interviews, I guess you could say, regarding the Metal Gear Solid series after Delta launched. The producer said, I think a couple months ago, he said that he would like to remake Metal Gear Solid 1. He said that would be the biggest challenge. So I'm assuming that would be a much greater challenge than MGS4 would be. He says that would be the greater challenge or the greatest challenge, but he's up for it. But in that same interview, he also confirmed that they have Volume 2. It's in the works, and to stay tuned, which I'm assuming it'll be announced probably sometime next year. So they're giving us a bunch of, I don't want to say like mixed signals, but they're not necessarily making it easy to predict what they're going to do next. They seem to really be kind of unsure themselves, and I don't envy them, because if I was Konami, yeah, I mean, remaking Metal Gear Solid Delta makes the most sense, or Metal Gear Solid 3, I should say. That makes the most sense because it's like, okay, this is the first game in the series. It's the first game in the series. It's the start of everything. It's the start of the timeline. There's no Metal Gear before Metal Gear Solid 3. So let's just start there. And sure, that's easy enough. Easy starting point. But after that, it becomes incredibly difficult, I think, to determine what to do next. Because you're going to have some people who say you should do Peace Walker next, or even Portable Ops, which I don't know that you would do Portable Ops next. But let's just say Peace Walker. That's the one you got to remake. But it's like I said before, there's such a major problem in that, to a degree, because it's like Peace Walker is such a dramatic departure from all mainline Metal Gear games. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's almost like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker kind of feels like Monster Hunter a little bit, you know? It really does. Except instead of monsters, it's like tanks and helicopters and stuff like that. And it's awesome. It's an awesome game. And I would love to know what a Peace Walker remake would look like, but I feel like that's actually more challenging than, say, something like Metal Gear Solid 1. But if you choose to go in the direction of Metal Gear Solid 1, you also have a massive challenge, just due to the simple fact that, dude, this is a game that came out in 1998 on the PlayStation 1. And I think people will argue whether or not Metal Gear Solid 1 is the best, or is it better than Metal Gear Solid 3? Is it better than Metal Gear Solid 2? And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people feel like from a story perspective, Metal Gear Solid 1 is by far the best. You know, it's the first game they played. It's legendary. In terms of gameplay, I don't think there's any arguing that, like, the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 3 is just objectively better in multiple regards than 1. You know? And I'm not necessarily talking about like level design or anything, but just in terms of playability, right? And so I feel like when you talk about remaking Metal Gear Solid 1, there's just no way to do it without, completely changing certain aspects that feel like you're basically changing the DNA of the game. And that, I do agree. Like, that might be the greatest challenge, because at least with something like Peace Walker, I don't think you have to change the DNA. You just got to figure out how to make it work and not have it come off too shocking. Because, dude, like, Peace Walker and MGS3 are like nothing alike, like, at all. They're like not even close. So it would be very jarring in terms of gameplay structure. You know, Peace Walker's like mission based, like you literally click which missions you want to do. It's got like comic book panels for cutscenes. It's got a whole lot of different things going on because it was made, I believe, for the PSP. And yeah, so that has its whole set of challenges. But, you know, kind of changing the DNA of a game like Metal Gear Solid 1, you mess that up, it's over. So I could see how they're really, really hesitant to maybe dive in head first to remaking Metal Gear Solid 1, because, yeah, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know. I feel like it's a shorter game than MGS3 is. How do you know if you're going to modernize the gameplay? How does that translate? You know, because I would assume that the level design, and it seems safe to say the level design of Metal Gear Solid 1 is not. You can't just like make a contemporary third person over the shoulder type view or 360-degree camera work in that game, because it would just literally break the level design. So, you're talking about a complete overhaul, man. And I don't know if we can really trust Konami with that, man, for as good as MGS Delta was. I feel more confident that they would be able to handle MGS4, you know, but they're going to have to do them all eventually, right? And formerly Capcom lawyer with a super chat says, how did Delta do? All-time peak was 19,000 on Steam, with less than 1,000 playing in the past 24 hours. No numbers for the console players playing now. When it comes to overall sales, I believe the only number we have officially is 1.8 million. That was from Konami's last earnings report. Pretty sure it was 1.8 million. You would assume now that it's been on sale at like $30 for the past week, maybe it got to 1.9, maybe it's at 2 million by now. So it didn't do like huge numbers by any means. And when it comes to player base, I think it has the strongest player base on PlayStation. Metal Gear Solid's always been pretty synonymous with PlayStation. I play the Fox Hunt multiplayer, and I can tell there's even though PlayStation is the place with the strongest player base, I can tell there's not many people playing. Like, for example, when I'm playing Fox Hunt, I just keep getting paired with a lot of the same people round after round after round. I'm like, dude, like, is there less than 20 people playing this right now? So I don't know, man. I feel like the future of the Metal Gear series is still kind of up in the air. And he did mention in that interview, by the way, he did say they've been thinking about maybe doing something original. And like, oh boy, I don't know about that. Like, I want to see it. I absolutely want to see Konami take a shot and do something original with Metal Gear Solid. But man, it is one of these situations where if it is not received well, it's just over immediately. It's over before it even begins. I feel like when you look at something like the absolute dumpster fire that was Metal Gear Survive, I mean, that it cannot get worse than that. So that is the good news, is we've seen them hit the bottom. And that's what Metal Gear Survive is, what hitting the bottom looks like. It cannot be worse than that. But at the same time, there is a fear that, well, if what you get beyond that isn't much better, then maybe it's not worth it. You never want to see that, Capcom or F Konami. I mean, I get it. So would those numbers justify a fully remade versions of all the previous games? Well, from a business standpoint, I'm not sure, right? Because I don't know what the budget of Metal Gear Solid Delta was. I don't know if they made it back. I'm assuming they made it back. But then again, I'm not basing that assumption off of anything. That's a guess, actually. That's not an assumption. That's just a pure wild guess. I'm just guessing that they made their money back, or at least broke even. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 2 million sales is not enough to break even. Maybe they needed like 3 or something, or 2.5. Maybe they're going to, they're hoping they're going to break even later. It is a good question, because it might not be as simple as I'm making it sound. It might not be like, yeah, we want to remake Metal Gear Solid 1, but the budget is going to be substantially larger because it's going to be a much bigger undertaking. Konami might be like, no, do something easier. Do something that's going to cost less. MGS4 might be that game. Possibly. That could be another reason. So there's a lot of unknown factors here, but I'm interested. I really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid Delta. I got the platinum. Again, I'm still playing the Fox Hunt multiplayer, but I still have a level of trepidation with Konami in the future of the Metal Gear series, because I feel like everything they've done so far is like the easiest thing, right? Yeah, do a collection where you're just doing basic ports, frame rate increase, resolution boost, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, boom, boom, boom. That's it. Sell it. Easy. All right, now do a remake. Remake MGS3, keep pretty much the entire game the same, make some quality of life improvements where it makes sense, and that's it. But generally speaking, play it super safe. I feel like from this point forward, they've reached a kind of point where you can't really play it safe anymore. It's not really possible to do that. And I do feel like if you're looking at it from that perspective of like, we're still trying to play it safe, we're still not sure that we're ready to make a bigger investment into the franchise yet, or that fans are going to be okay with us doing something dramatically different, that's where I feel like your safest bet. Like, if you're trying to play it as safe as you can, you do 4. That's just me. I think for some people, they feel like, no, the safest bet is MGS1. Again, that's not the safest bet because that's going to take the biggest, push and upheaval. It's actually the greatest risk. Something like Peace Walker is also just as high of a risk in some sense because it's like, dude, there's a really, really, really high chance that Metal Gear Solid Delta buyers, if they see that Peace Walker is remade, first they're going to ask, like, is this is the second game? It's like, no, this is not the second game. Technically, this is the game that came after MGS4. It's like, so what does that mean? Maybe people are used to that by now, but it has a massive risk. I feel like 4 is the only one. 4 is the only one that I think is just, again, it's the safest, purely safest bet where you still don't have to change much. That's like the big thing I'm trying to get at is 4 is the only game left where you don't have to change much of anything. And so it really comes down to, I guess, their level of risk mitigation. And formerly Capcom lawyer with another super chat, you're saying, we are talking about the company who shattered MGS5 and destroyed the relationship with Kojima over the budget. They make too much from Pachinko to care. While that is true, Capcom lawyer, they do have different leadership now. And I mean, I'm not saying from a business perspective they feel much different. Maybe they don't. From a business perspective, the new leadership at Konami clearly was okay making the decision we're going to reinvest into AAA gaming. So there is at least that. Like they were willing to put money into it. But the question of like how much money, obviously that's the one that's difficult to answer. And I don't blame anybody for not having any kind of faith. I'm not saying you should have any kind of faith. I guess I'm just saying, like, I would not be opposed one bit to them saying we're going to do Metal Gear Solid 4 next. I would feel bad for new players, but I would at that point absolutely urge new players, you got to play the collection. You got to play the mainline games. If you play the mainline games 1, 2, and 3, you will not be lost with 4. You won't be any more lost than anyone else is at that point, So I think they're doing 4 next. I think I'm just going to leave it there, But I think this Metal Gear Solid producer, Akamura, I think he's just flat out trying to say, like, guys, we're doing 4 next. We're doing 4. And the biggest reason they might have chosen 4 next is because, well, before I move on, I want to ask you guys, if we're talking about a Metal Gear Solid Volume 2 that, doesn't feature a Metal Gear Solid 4, what games would it have? Peace Walker's a given. They can't put 5 in there, can they? Can they? Or do you think that they would just... Do you think it's possible they would just do what they did with 3, where they're like, no, we're just going to put a basic port of 4, and then we're going to remake 4? But again, if they were going to do that, why would he talk about the difficulty of the code and moving it off of PS3? I don't know. It's hard not to read deeply into this because we don't get too many interviews these days with the Metal Gear team. Well, we get more than we get from Sony's teams, but I heard of that. There was a Metal Gear Solid game in the works where you play as the boss storming Normandy on D-Day. Dude, that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy good. It was supposed to be a kind of spin-off or another prequel. Carl says, I'm completely lost while playing the MGS games. I still love them, though. Yeah. No, I feel you, Carl. Took me a long time to piece things together. And even still now, there's some things I either probably have forgotten or still don't fully understand. By the way, guys, we're sitting at 93 likes for the stream. We need 7 more likes. We can hit 100. I'd really appreciate that. Just give you Fizzant. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one, dude. MGS4 hasn't even been ported off of the PS3 yet. So to remake it, they need to port it first. Well, yeah, I don't know. This is also translated text, so I don't know how accurate it is, but I think so far Konami's been doing a pretty good job. You know, the reviving of Silent Hill, I think, is going very well. I mean, honestly, it's going great. And then seeing their attempt at reviving Metal Gear Solid and knowing that that's much more unstable, I feel like, because I think with like Silent Hill, they kind of bottomed out. Like Silent Hill, before Konami decided to remake 2 and do Townfall and Silent Hill F, I think they kind of knew, like, okay, yeah, the Silent Hill franchise is kind of in the garbage right now. So the expectations are low, I guess you could say. With Metal Gear Solid, I mean, Metal Gear Solid hasn't been tainted outside of Metal Gear Survive. And again, people just pretend that game never happened, which is for the best. So there's still again, there's just inherently a higher risk with doing Metal Gear. But I feel like Konami's done a good job so far. I think that they've done the best that they can do without ruffling too many feathers. And I remember when I was reading the reviews of Metal Gear Delta, the only negative ones I saw were people saying they should have changed it more. I'm like, well, considering how rabid the fan base can get, if that's the only major complaint, then I think they did something right. MGS3 Delta was most definitely a remake. It was remade just like Shadow of the Colossus remake and Metroid Prime Remastered. Hold on. Shadow of the Colossus remake and Demon Souls remake. Oblivion Remastered and Metroid Prime Remastered screwed up the whole definition. You think so? Perfect Image, you're saying, MBG, I'm hoping we will see more games that Sony hasn't announced. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, Perfect Image. I think we're going to see Sony at the Game Awards, for sure. I did speculate on what I think they could be showing up with. I notice my lighting is off again, dude. I got to figure out what to do about that. I'm not going to worry about it anymore over the course of the stream, but, people talk about a fabled MGS4 360 port. We have no idea if they retained the data for that or how far along it was. Was it a technical mess? Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I was just thinking about PS5, like PS3 to PS5, but you're right. They would probably, well, not probably, but they would want that to be multi-platform. Oh, yeah, I didn't consider that. You're right. That might be like a major roadblock. That might be like the biggest roadblock. Although the architecture of the PS5 is, it's like basically PC. It's x86 architecture now, so I don't know. I'll tell you, man, the only thing that would be immensely disappointing to me, the only thing that would really let me down big time is if they're just like, we can't do it. Sorry. This game is forever stuck on the PlayStation 3. I'd be like, no, unacceptable. I refuse to accept that. There's no way. There's no way. They can't just keep it there. Oh, that's interesting, though. Well, you're saying Silent Hill was great, but they messed up Metal Gear Solid. You think so? I mean, seeing how well they've been doing with Silent Hill, they clearly have more confidence with Silent Hill because, again, I think the expectations are just lower and they didn't have the whole, I think the whole Kojima falling out thing really makes them very nervous with Metal Gear, which is smart of them because they understand, like, you have to treat it with a different type of care, I guess you could say, compared to, compared to something like Silent Hill. MGS Remake next makes no sense from a development perspective, difficult/costly, or timeline perspective. Maybe he mentioned it as a heads up that they won't be doing a Metal Gear Solid 4 remake. Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess I didn't consider that if it is going to be difficult to port or even just to move off at PS3, that could very much be translated into like that's going to ramp up the development cost significantly. I didn't look at it like that. You could be right, for sure. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out like how much the producers just talking for the sake of talking. Like, yeah, I'd personally love to do Metal Gear Solid 4, but that shit ain't happening. You know, I don't know if that's kind of how he's talking about it, or if it's more along the lines of like, yeah, I'd love Metal Gear Solid 4 to be the next remake, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't tell which way it's going. If anything, Silent Hill or Metal Gear Solid shows up at the Game Awards, it'll be a first for Jeff. Well, something else I did cover in my video that I put out today is that Silent Hill 1 Remake is rumored, and I don't know how credible this rumor is. I don't know if this person is an accurate leak or whatever. I came across it in the Gaming Leaks Rumor subreddit. There was at least this one person who claims to have a very good Japanese source who said that, and I'm sorry, again, I've never heard of this person before. Their name is Moss Gamers or whatever. I don't know if they're to be believed or trusted, but they claim that Silent Hill 1 Remake is ready to be revealed at the Game Awards. And yeah, there's like that friction of like, would Jeff Keighley still not work with Konami? I think he would. I don't think I mean, even Kojima himself has expressed seemingly that like he's over the whole Konami thing. Like, it's whatever. He's been doing bigger and better things ever since. I don't know. Would Jeff keep Konami blacklisted? I don't think so, because I think at the end of the day, like, the Game Awards is a business for Jeff Keighley. You know, like he has to run it as a business first and foremost. Because without the proper funding and without the money, not that I would say he needs Konami, but just it's like, you know, like Konami's one of the biggest publishers in the industry. It's been over 10 years. I mean, I don't know. MBG, but why is there a fear of MGS? Do you know the sales of all the MGS games? It's really not that high. Horizon has sold more as a franchise. I don't think Horizon has sold more as a franchise. I think Metal Gear Solid's at like 65 million, which you would think it would be higher. You would think that. You would think, you know, considering how well known Metal Gear Solid is, it would be higher. Sorry, I was muted. I just said I'm still trying to get the lighting right. I'm still trying to get the lighting right, man. I don't know if it's working or not. Can't have it too bright. Can't have it too blue. We'd be looking at a Metal Gear Solid 4 reimagining if it was like Silent Hill 2 Remake. I mean, yeah, as a major fan of Metal Gear Solid 4, I would love to see like how they would want to remake it. Because I think to a large degree, not entirely, but to a large degree, Metal Gear Solid 4 holds up well. Again, I think that controls, I do worry that they would like overhaul the controls and be like, we got to make this easier. That's one of the things I loved about MGS4's control scheme, is it was so complicated. Some people don't like that though. Like, it was like overly complicated, but I'm like, I like it. It made it feel like you had so many different things you could do in terms of combat. Bro got anxiety over his lighting. It's not anxiety, Capono. I guess it could be seen as anxiety. Well, no, it's just because it's like, dude, I'm like bothered by like, I'm trying to have the background look a little blue. You know, I'm not trying to make the whole thing look totally blue, because that just feels weird. All right. Pretty much, Capcom lawyer, yeah. I'll double check. The lifetime sales of Metal Gear Solid are 65.1 million as of September 2025. So yeah, it's not like one of these franchises that's done like 100 million or 200 million. I'm Ayoto. You're welcome. I appreciate you tuning into them. I appreciate listening. Turn on that portal over there. I'm not turning it on. I got the portal. Got to display my portal, you know? Yeah, the charging station I got for the portal is really nice. I like it. It's pretty sick. By the way, is that the new mic that you're using? I hear like every breath you take. Is it picking up every breath? I should probably... It's probably because I'm right up on it, you know? Uh-oh. Now we got Ray coming in saying, MBG, why does your mic sound off? Just kidding. It's good. Braid, I don't need this right now, bro. First my lighting, now my audio. I don't need this. I didn't think about that, though, yeah. That you could pick up, like, every breath. I'm just going to breathe loudly into the mic. I'm sorry. I'm especially sorry to headphone users. I apologize. You didn't deserve that. Irfan, you're saying you're waiting for the God of War video reaction? You like the ASMR? I never understood ASMR. I don't understand the appeal. I never got it. You want me to eat some chips? I'm gonna do it, Capono. Oh, you think I have anxiety over my lighting, Capono? Is that what you think? You can improve MGS4's frame rate on PS3 by forcing the resolution to 720p, turn off 1080p and 1080i in the PS3 TV settings, and you can get a bit better performance. I never knew that. That's really random. One of the things I remember about Metal Gear Solid 4 is it was such an amazing looking game. It came out in 2008, and man, at the time it was like, this is cutting edge. I mean, this game looked leaps and bounds ahead of like almost everything else. The power of exclusivity, baby. What's my least favorite Metal Gear? It's a good question. My least favorite Metal Gear. I mean, in terms of story, it might be 5. Just story-wise. There was something about Metal Gear, like, presentation is incredible. Everything about 5 is incredible, but the overall story, it felt less Metal Gear. It felt different, and I don't know that the plot twist really held up. But to be fair, Metal Gear Solid 5 is also somewhat unfinished. It's kind of infamous for being an unfinished game, so it feels a little bit unfair to say that. I would say the gameplay of the earlier titles, like the story of Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2 hold up. The gameplay is a bit rough now, to be honest. Especially after playing something like Delta, where I'm like, yeah, Metal Gear Survive, if we count that. That's the worst one ever made. I remember playing Portable Ops. See, I talked to you guys about having a PlayStation Portable, and I always forget to mention Portable Ops. I remember picking that game up and being a bit confused by it, truthfully, because I'm like, this is so different from Metal Gear Solid, like the Metal Gear Solid that I'm used to. But I don't know if Portable Ops would be my least favorite. It might be, though. Portable Ops could be my least favorite. Oh, my eye. My eye's itching. It's happening again. I'm allergic to Portable Ops, man. I can't talk about that game. You tried downloading Tomb Raider Underworld on the PS3 today. The PS3 store wouldn't even let it wouldn't even let you get to the game's page. Had to go through a massive download list to find it. Why is the PS3 still, like, why is that storefront still open, dude? Like, I'm not even saying that as a hater, because I think the PS3 is a cool console. But it's like, if it's that broken and unusable, why is it still open? Why don't they just put it out of its misery? End it. Really? Capcom lawyer saying MGS4 is the one you didn't like the most, but Returning to Shadow Moses was awesome. Yeah, I will never forget how, for me, Metal Gear Solid 4 was like, at the time, and it's still one of the best games I ever played, but I was so enthralled with MGS4. I'm like, this is the greatest thing to ever exist in the history of anything. That's how I felt about it. And I remember, like, years later, I started coming across these, like, essays on YouTube and certain threads of people basically saying how they hate MGS4. And it's, like, the worst Metal Gear. And I was like, how dare you? But after looking deeper into it, I totally get it. I don't agree, but I totally understand. Like, MGS4 gets wacky and really gets crazy. And some of it is just silly to a degree where it's like even for Kojima standards, it's like, bro, this is something. This is something. But I guess I kind of love it for that, you know? I think the thing I love about MGS4 is it's not afraid to be stupid in the name of fan service. And I love that. I love that. I'm telling you, man, fan service goes a long way. A little bit of fan service goes a long way. A lot of fan service can go even further. Yeah. You're right about that, Imayoto. You're saying, didn't they want to close the PS3 store? And then they got huge backlash. They did, and now they're like, we're never closing it. You wanted this. You wanted to use this unusable storefront now. Shame. Crashed 3 times. I have an SSD installed also. It's still open as 2 million people still use it. I spent quite a bit of money there recently, getting the last few games I want before the end. Damn. That's so crazy to me. The fact that there's still people using a PS3. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. The PS3 is such a unique console, you know? It is a unique console. Irfan, that's interesting, bro. You think that's legit? You think it's legit? it keeps games alive. Perfect Image says, MBG, the PS3 is the best games, dude. The fact it was on cell processor, it's difficult to port some games to PSN Network. Yo, I do gotta say, I mean, I've said this a couple of times at this point, but I'll continue to say it as long as it's true. I feel like the PS3 and the XMB, I mean, I don't know if I'm looking through rose-tinted glasses right now. Maybe if it was like updated and modernized and, I'm sure it would need to be greatly improved. But I remember that being like the best like user experience or interface for a console. I loved it. It was so simple, but also, I don't know, it had this kind of, it felt layered at the same time. Like it felt like everything was there. It felt simple and easy to navigate, but that there was so much there and so much depth to it. I really liked the XMB, and I kind of really wish that they would have stuck with that, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to imagine if Sony stuck with the XMB and did that for the PS5. I like that so much better than what we have now, to a degree where, like, it's ultra simplified on the PS5, where when you boot up your PS5, you press R1 and it takes you to like TV and movies, but it's just, it just feels like advertisements, to be honest. And I know like there's apps there, but I don't know. I don't know. I would have preferred to see like a more modern day XMB experience for the PS5. But it wasn't meant to be. I mean, Sony abandoned it after the PS3. The PS4 user experience was great too, but even then, I don't know. Why do you think they didn't continue with the XMB? You think it was because they felt like it was tainted? It was the PS3 UI, and the PS3 was the worst selling PlayStation home console, so they're like, it's cursed. PS Vita store is still up also. People are going back to PS3 these days. So you think that's what's creating the extra weight on the PS3 store? Oh, dude, Max Payne 3. Yo, Max Payne 3. One of the best games ever made. The PS3 is so future-proofed, hardware-wise. I can slap a current SSD in it, up to 1 terabyte, and it's a better system. 360, you can't just do that. Got to use a USB-connected SSD. Not as fast. Got to mod it. Yeah, and that's a funny thing, too. You're saying it's the worst selling, but people speak so fondly about it. And I think that's the nature of these types of things. People are very passionate about things like the PS3 because it was kind of, I think people who bought the PS3 in the early days, you really had to be sold on the vision, Of course, I think there's always people where it's like, well, PlayStation's what I know. But I think everybody, at least at the beginning of the PS3 days, like they kind of knew like Sony messed up. So you really had to have some like level of belief and like, I'm sold. I believe in what they're doing here. And I firmly believe that what Sony is doing with the PlayStation 3 is better than what Microsoft is doing with the Xbox 360. And I think it's the whole package. It's the entire thing that goes along with it. And yeah, there's no denying that every time products launch, especially when there's competition in the space, there's going to be the winner, there's going to be the loser, there's going to be the thing that's better objectively in terms of just units and numbers and sales. But I do feel like with the PS3, there probably was a little bit of hyperbole. A little bit. I think it was, Some of it wasn't. Some of it was justified. But I guess I'm just saying, like, early adopters of the PS3, there are probably things there that they could identify. Like, I remember when I played the PS3 with MGS4, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the PS3 experience. Like, I was expecting to really hate it and not like it. And really, to be honest, the thing I had the biggest problem with was the controller, the DualShock 3 or whatever, only because I thought at the time, like, man, the Xbox 360 controller is the best. Like, to me, that was like the controller. And the PS3 felt, you know, in terms of the DualShock 3, I'm like, I feel like I'm playing PS2, you know? But it also had that nostalgia to it as well, which I appreciated. But yeah, I remember when I was navigating the PS3 and working with it, and I'm like, this is quite nice. I like it. And I don't know, I really feel like when I look back at the PS3 and 360 days, they both really had truly distinctive aspects that, you know, they were just different. They were very different and very unique. And I'm not sure what's going on today, but it seems like everything's becoming homogenized to like a concerning degree. Like everything's becoming the same. And every like there's just becoming like new standards, I guess, across everything. And I'm like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, it's convenient. Don't get me wrong. It's convenient, but I do kind of miss the days when these tech companies or whatever, like, they felt more comfortable trying to do something different and unique and allow it to kind of stand out because of that. These days, it just feels like you got to make your UI this way because this is what everybody expects and this is what all the popular apps do. And, you know, it really reminds me of the way people talk about navigating UIs in, like, games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, where for some reason, like, they've just decided, like, we're going to adopt the Hulu/Netflix/Prime Video UI, and I'm like, that sucks. Like, just straight up, like, that is objectively worse in every front compared to the simplicity of the way your menus used to look, where it's simplified. It's go down and pick which game mode you want to play. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. Campaign, multiplayer, zombies, whatever. Now it's like, now you're just navigating like tiles, and I'm not trying to make it sound like it's the worst thing in the world, but it's just ugly, man. I don't know. I feel like we've taken some steps backwards. I really do. All right. Let me see where we are at time-wise. How long? Okay, so we're almost at like 2 hours and 20 minutes. You're saying you have a 360, so I can tell you all the little differences up against each other these days. I just think the PS3, after that fat model, is the best way to go. The 360 will just scratch the discs. As you were used to using the 360 controller, was it difficult to get used to the PS3 controller? It was, yeah. I remember hating, when I played Metal Gear Solid 4, hating the fact that in order to, like, it was like L1 and R1 to aim and shoot, man. I'm like, this, like that. I was like, that sucks. I'm like, this is crazy how bad this feels compared to using the triggers on a 360 controller. So like the controller was like the biggest area that I think the PS3 lost in. And that's where it's so funny, where when you look at the DualSense now I think the DualSense is the best controller. I mean, I still think the Xbox controller is amazing as well. It really is. But I don't know, I think Sony really stepped it up with the DualSense. And I'm not just saying that. Like, they really, like, they engineered the shit out of that thing. Kudaragi's folly. The 360 controller is better than the PS3 controller, but the PS3 controller has a better D-pad. Good for fighting games. Yeah, I remember people complaining about that a lot. I don't think I played many fighting games on the 360. I think the Mortal Kombat games that I played, for the ones that I did, I think I remember playing them on the PS3. But yeah, I remember people complained so badly about the D-pad for the 360. Navigating like that is made for more MAU user time. There's a reason they all do it. That's horrific, bro. You're absolutely right. Oh my god, I didn't even think of that, and I'm almost over here wishing you never told me that. You're absolutely right. That's crazy. Oh man, what? Whew. Shit's scary out here. We need to make the UI this exact way, because our calculations indicate that the average user spends at least 5 to 10 more minutes navigating. That's so sad, man. What happened? What happened to gaming? What happened, man? It's not all bad. I feel like we paid such a price for convenience, have we not? Have we not? I feel like the price is, I don't know, man. There's always a price to be paid for everything. For everything that's good, there's going to be something there to offset it, because nothing can be perfect. And I feel like all of this, it's all about convenience, and some of it works really well, and I appreciate a lot of that convenience. Trust me, I'm also a human being. I like the convenience factor. But sometimes it does feel glaringly obvious that, oh, there's a price being paid. Make no mistake. You still use R1 and L1 to shoot? Iamayoto, that is cursed, bro. Are you serious? That is crazy, my friend. MBG, Netflix made these pictures bigger on screen so you see less and have to scroll for longer. Scroll longer. I hate that. I hate that so much, man. That's very sad. Prince says shout out to the G Unit. The G Unit, MBG, Carl G, and Irfan Gags. Devil Shooter, you do it too? Bro, what is up with you guys? R1 and L1 help you shoot faster? Well, yeah, that's true, but damn. It screws with muscle memory, changing controllers also. The symmetric sticks / asymmetric sticks. It's been a while since I've really used the 360, or not 360. Well, I mean, it's been a long time since I've used the 360 controller, but like the Xbox One controller. It's funny because I remember after using the DualSense for so long, I held the Xbox controller again. And one of the things that was a little bit surprising to me is like the Xbox One controller felt so small compared to the DualSense. I'm like, damn. I remember when the Xbox One controller felt big. I don't think Xbox is going to change their controllers anytime soon, though. I don't think they need to. I think that they've found their formula. You know, I know that this is kind of random, but I was just thinking about this. Taking a bit of a left turn here. Still gaming related, though. But when the PlayStation 6 drops, do we think Sony's going to make it so that all of your accessories that you have for the PS5 can carry forwards and work with the PlayStation 6? Or do we think they're going to kind of create a cutoff like they did with the PS4? What are we thinking? Like, are you going to be able to use your DualSense Edge with the PlayStation 6? Tarnish says, oh no, my membership just ran out. You're right, it did. Your membership literally ran out. I don't see it anymore. Mr. B, yours too, bro. Mr. B's membership ran out. I witnessed this over the course of the stream. Uh-oh. Irfan, you just think straight up no? I don't know. I'm starting to think that everything will be compatible. I don't know. I hope they... I have to be honest, like, I kind of would like to see Sony take a different approach this time, where I want them to treat it like a new gen, but at the same time, like, I want them to be more lenient than they've ever been, where it's like, yeah, you know, all your stuff will carry over. Like, all the like anything you bought during the PS5 gen will carry over. Because I feel like, I don't know, the timing feels right, you know? It does feel right where they should do it like that. If they're smart, no, new accessories mean more sales, and Sony fans will spend like Apple fans. Yeah. I don't know though, man. Like, I feel like it could be a double-edged sword for them, right? On one hand, if they make everything compatible, that might encourage people. Like, for me, that feels more encouraging at this point. And I guess maybe that's because I made such a heavy investment this generation, where it's like I have all these accessories. And yeah, I have to admit that knowing that PlayStation 6 is coming in 2 years, roughly, I don't know how I feel about the idea of, like, listen, if you're going to upgrade to the PS6, you're starting over. I guess it feels a little bit different this time. And I don't know, maybe that's just because of the massive investment I made this gen compared to previous gens, or maybe it's because of time. Like, it doesn't feel like a lot of time went by. I know it's been over 5 years, and by the time the PS6 comes, it'll be like 7 years, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like I've only had this stuff for a little bit, you know? You think Sony will count the new handheld as an accessory? That would be super interesting if they do that. Sony sold a PlayStation stand. That's some Apple shit right there. You will buy the stand separately. To be fair, nah. That's lame. That's totally lame. They're going to be hard-pressed to be pro-consumer. Yeah, I do think there will be more pressure than ever before for them to be more pro-consumer, mainly because with Xbox, again, they're going in the completely opposite direction, and then you're going to have the Steam machine, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. There's so much I still don't know about what Sony's plans are. But one of the things I was thinking about, I didn't mean to go in this direction, but I was thinking about, like, color scheme. I'm so curious about the color scheme of the PlayStation 6, and I know that's such a random thing, but I'm so curious about it because I look around at all the different things that Sony's selling for PlayStation now, and they went from doing like a two-tone white and black, and that's still like the main, you know, color scheme of the PlayStation 5 generation, but now they basically do everything in black as well. And they've just seemingly gotten to a point where it's like, we'll just let you choose now. So I'm like wondering if at the start of the PlayStation 6 generation, that they're just going to be like out of the gate, like you can just choose, right? I don't know, just something I was thinking about. Maybe they'll go back to all black, classic. PS1 color scheme. Well, Irfan, I know that they count the Portal as an accessory, but I feel like with a full-blown handheld, that might be different, you know? The naming convention will tell us everything. If PS6 is in the name of the handheld, like PS6 Portable, PS6 S or whatever, like if PS6 is in the name, then they are counting that as a PS6 sale. Absolutely. Black and chrome. Irvin, you like everything in silver. Nice. The new handheld is an accessory / optional device if it doesn't have its own exclusives to make it different from the PS6. But with that logic, wouldn't the PS5 Pro count as an accessory then, technically? I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. Big Noid says time is definitely passing at an alarming rate. Yeah, I'm so curious about how Sony's going to handle the next generation because, I mean, it really feels like it feels like they've really. Look. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I feel like things are actually genuinely different now. Like they just feel different. Like I remember feeling from the PS3 to the PS4 and the 360 to the Xbox One, like, yes, this is a new generation, fresh start. And it made sense. And even from the PS4 to the PS5, it's like a new generation. It makes sense. This is like the first time I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, I really don't know that it would feel good or right, per se. Like, I don't know that that's going to... I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I think that could work against Sony this time. I think if Sony comes out and they're like, we're doing a whole new generation now. Like, we're moving forward. I think people are going to be like, nah. Yeah, but that's the problem is if you make it feel more like a continuation, it feels more like a half step and not a full step. And it's a double-edged sword, man, because the more of a half step you make it, the less urgency and the less inclined people feel like they have to do anything. And if they don't have to do something, chances are they won't. Boss. All right. But if they get too aggressive and they're like, no, like we're going all in, clean slate, fresh start. I mean, I do feel like now more than ever, people are conditioned to expect otherwise. You know what I mean? I don't feel like people are as accepting as they once were. And I think it's because now more than ever, it does make less sense where like now you have, interconnected storefronts. You have storefronts that are shared across all these different devices. You have, even with PlayStation, even something like the Portal, it's like, yeah, now you can use this as a gateway to PlayStation 5 games without having a PS5, them putting their games on PC. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it's different now. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe it's just easy to say that now, but as soon as the engine starts revving for the PlayStation 6, it's just going to be like, now we're going. And you're either on board or you're not. All aboard. I don't know how it's going to be. I remember it was like that with the PS5, by the way. It really was. Like, I remember having a somewhat similar feeling going into the PS5 where I'm like, I think there's excitement for next gen. It feels like there is. But at the same time, like, it's all PS4 right now, baby. And it's looking good, But then as soon as Sony was like, now we're talking about the PS5, I remember it was like, boom, like people were fucking running, dude. And I don't know if it's going to be that way again. I don't know. I'm just really curious to find out. They could have skipped the Pro and waited for the PS6. Then it would have at least felt like more of a jump. Now it's like a PS5 Pro 2.0. Yeah, I do worry about that with the PS6, dude. Because, dude, I'm happy with the PS5 Pro. Like, I gotta tell you, like I have an excuse, right? Like, I run a PlayStation YouTube channel. I can literally buy a PS6 and be like, oh, it's a business expense or whatever. But I won't lie, man. Like, the PS5 Pro is so good and the games I'm playing are so good. I'm like, I don't even I'm looking at Sony like, bro, I don't know how you're going to get me to... I don't know what you can do. I got to be real. Yeah, like, I don't know how you're going to show me something that makes me go like, oh, I need that instead of the PS5 Pro. And that's why I'm so damn curious about exclusivity. I know I talk about this all the time, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I just can't help but think about it when I'm going down this road of talking about anything regarding next gen, where I'm like, are they going to do exclusivity or not? Because I feel like that's the one thing that no matter what, I will throw everything away for that. Like, that's the one thing, if Sony leveraged it, I'm like, you got me. And I think there's other people like that. I'm not saying it would be right, but I'm just saying if it's like, tune into the PS6 showcase, we're going to show you something you like. And it's like, I don't know, the next God of War. And then like, PS6 only. I'm like, well, time to sell my PS5 Pro. No, I'm not going to sell it, but it's like, all right. Yeah, that'll get me to move away from the PS5 Pro pretty easily. But if they come out and they're like, it's going to be on PS5 Pro, I'm not going to lie, dude. Like, man, it's going to become really important for them to really identify and highlight, here's what makes God of War. See, I say that shit though, but we already lived this. We already lived this with Ragnarok. No, but hold on. There is a difference though, right? Like, there is a difference between Sony saying you can have a 30 FPS Ragnarok with a lower resolution, or you can have a 60 FPS Ragnarok with a higher resolution. That to me is a pretty massive difference. 30, 60, right? This time around, I'm just kind of afraid, not afraid, but I don't know, like, if the next God of War is also going to be available on PS5, and you're like, here's God of War Egypt or whatever, I don't know, whatever it was called, running on the PS5 Pro, here's it running on the PS6. And I'm like, I'm just not sure what they're going to show that's going to make me go, oh shit, I need that PS6 version, like right now. Like, that PS6 version is way better. Or noticeably better. Not, it doesn't have to be way better, but noticeably better. I don't know, maybe it'll be lighting, perhaps. And then we have to think of the economics of it all. Sony should just cancel next gen. I'm just kidding. They shouldn't cancel next gen, but they got to think real hard about what their strategy is going to be. Because I just don't think it can be the same. I think things have changed too much. If Sony does not release a new Twisted Metal Killzone and a new damn SOCOM, I'm done with them. Hello, GameCube. You heard him, Sony. You heard Night Owl. And formerly Capcom lawyer says console gens are now becoming what GPUs are to PC. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's concerning, right? Because it's like, it gets to a point with GPUs, like desktop GPUs, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, look, it's not that there isn't an improvement here, but it's like, again, the people who are there for the newest GPUs, the latest and greatest, I mean, you're splitting hairs. Truthfully, like you literally are. And I feel like I got like one of Boss's hairs on my tongue. Boss, come on, man. Come on. It's too much. You're saying Mystic, I think, did an interview with the PlayStation Classics team, implicit conversions. PS3 emulation is still in the background. PS2 games are the main priority at the moment. Yeah, I wonder what Sony's plans are with PS3. Sorry, just blew into the mic. MBG, Sony be like, if you don't want the PS6, then fine, keep playing on PS5. Yeah, and you know, I don't think that would be such a bad thing, but I just feel like that's so risky for them. I don't know. it's so risky for them, and the way forward is not clear. Like, when you look at what's going on with the Nintendo Switch 2, Sony can't really look to that as a marker of confidence. Because when you look, it's like, well, hey, Switch 2, new generation, very iterative generation, the most iterative, perhaps, we've ever seen from Nintendo. Breaking records. Killing it. But, again, Sony can't match that. Well, they can if they can try, but get away from that. Get away from that. Don't start. Don't start. I'll have to kick you out, boss. Come on. Don't start. Sorry. You know how he is. But, like, the only way Sony could theoretically copy Nintendo, like, okay, we have a PS6 home console, we have a PS6 handheld, but they would have to go full exclusivity again. And I just don't think they're going to do that, man. I don't think that they have the pull at this point. All right. Time to go, bud. Hold on, guys. Bro's acting like he's actually going to try to bite this wire now. I don't think so. They could innovate on the controller for the PS6. Give us smell or sensation or temperature change. All of that sounds uncomfortable, man. The store is the key. Boss has been exiled, yeah. Well, I don't think Sony can, like I said, look at the Switch 2 as a marker of confidence for what they're planning on doing with the PlayStation 6. I don't even think Sony can look... Well, they can look at the PS5, but I remember people were comparing games like God of War Ragnarok and even like Horizon Forbidden West, and like, here's the PS5 version, here's the PS4 version. And while there were substantial improvements, even then I saw people being like, well, I'll just play it on my PS4. I saw a lot of people. Oh, Sony did say that most people who were buying these games were doing so on the PS5. So there was like, I'm downplaying it a little bit. Truthfully, there was like an excitement, if not excitement, I don't know what you would call it, I guess, a desire, right? There was a desire where it's like, I want to play the latest PlayStation game on the newer console. And in that sense, it kind of didn't matter that it was available on the PS4. So I wonder if we will see a similar situation with the PS6. But it's difficult to tell. It's difficult to tell. Irvin, you're saying you played Miles on the PS4? With the PS5 now getting off the ground in Japan, this definitely is going to last a bit longer. Well, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you guys is we have our first data for PS5 sales in Japan. Says accounting for around 2 to 3 days worth of sales, they sold 23,381 PS5 digital editions in Japan until November 23rd. In comparison, PS5 sales the week before were just at 5,855. However, the Switch 2 sold 126,000 units, so Sony's still way far behind. But, you know, it did something. I don't know, though. I don't know. Sony might be too late for the Japanese market, bro. Everything rests on the handheld. I think the only way Sony actually makes any type of comeback in Japan is with the upcoming PS6 handheld. I think that's it. If they can't do it with that, then I think it's over. Perfect Image, you're saying your daughter plays on your PS4 through PlayStation Plus Premium? Nice. Pignoid says, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of games AI can make. Last week, the PS5 was outpacing the PS4. This week, everyone's just played on PS4. Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm confused about. Like, I guess I'm just trying to express that I'm not convinced yet. And again, I think a big reason I'm not convinced is because Sony hasn't they haven't rung the bell, you know. Sony is very much telling us like, no, PS5. And that makes sense. Like, they're not going to say anything else right now. But, and to be honest, it's not really Sony. It's everything else that's going on. You know? It's everything else that's going on. I feel like more unsure of what next generation looks like for PlayStation than ever before, because pretty much everybody else has changed or is in a completely different place. To whereas previously, it always kind of felt like, well, at the very least, Microsoft is there. Nintendo was there too in the past, but even when they were like, we're out, we're doing our own thing, Microsoft was still there. Now it's just Sony. And that feels different, where it's like, yeah, the PS5 is doing fantastic, and there's no slowdown from what we can tell. Like, there's another report here where apparently it's the PS5 still outselling the Switch 2 in the UK, so there's at least that. I don't know if there's going to be a big slowdown in the coming months or in the coming year. But when I look at what's going on with Microsoft and I look at what's going on with Valve now in the Gabe Cube, regardless of how niche these products seem, it doesn't change the pressure where it's like, okay, so like if you immediately disqualify Xbox Magnus because it's like, well, that's just a really expensive PC that goes in your living room, like a really expensive one that most people are not going to buy because it's just too much money. Okay, then we'll disqualify that. We're also going to disqualify the Steam Machine because that's actually going to be more expensive, and that's just going to be for people who are already invested in Steam. It's going to be a niche product as well. Okay, so we'll disqualify that. All right, well, what about the Switch 2? We're going to disqualify that as well because, you know, list reason A, B, C, and D as to why Nintendo is very different from Sony, walking a different path, and they're not direct competitors. At that point, you begin to realize that so Sony's biggest enemy is literally their own console. The PlayStation 6's biggest threat is the PS5. Huh. How's that going to work? I don't know. MBG, the PS4 is the baseline on creating games. I don't think it is anymore. I think it was for a while. I think most devs have moved on now. The PS5 is now the baseline. PS5 will be the but think about that. We're 5 years into the generation and devs are just now moving on to the PS5 being the baseline. What do you think would happen if Sony just said, we're basically going to treat the PS6 like an extension of the PS5? I'm not saying they would call it the PS5 Pro 2.0, but basically for all intents and purposes, it's like the PS5, or sorry, the PS6 is basically like the next step up from the PS5 Pro. And that's just how it's going to be. And they kind of like, again, unify everything. I mean, what do we think would happen? I don't know. I just wonder about that. PS6 will have AI. You'll have smart NPCs that can reply intelligently. Everything will feel more realistic, including main characters, friends, etc. I mean, I do agree with that, Go Mike, but I feel like the only thing about it is how much will that really apply if every game is made with cross-gen in mind? You know, if every game is also going to be a PS5 game, I mean, is that something? I don't know if that's something that can be scaled up and down. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like it can be, but maybe it can be. I mean, to me, that sounds more like you would need to make two different versions. I'm not sure. Saying everything will have that AI? The hardware shortage could last for years and would impact the price of next-gen consoles. Yeah, dude, this whole RAM shortage is throwing everything out of whack. The PS6 might be the last one, dude. I mean, dude, the PS6 might be the last hurrah for Sony in the console space. Not saying they won't make future consoles, not like that. But I just mean like the PS6 might be the last pop. Where after the PS6, it's like, we're going to be looking back and being like, damn. Now Sony's just, you know, we're going to be getting new console hardware. It's going to feel like, I don't know. It's just not going to feel the same. It's just going to be like, yeah, here you go. Yeah, it's going to feel like getting another high-end GPU where it's like, it's better. But, you know, we're not really sure how much that matters. PS5 is not a new console anymore. Switch 2 is just going to take it. When PS6 comes out, Switch 2 will become yesterday. Well, yeah, I mean, the big advantage that Sony has in this conversation is they haven't said anything about the PS6, really. Like, they haven't shown anything. But where I get hung up a little bit is like, I think a big reason I think the PS5 deserves the success it has. I think it's a great console, and I think Sony did most things right in terms of just like the boxes they needed to check to make it feel like a worthwhile upgrade and getting people excited. However, the big thing here for me is like, if the PS5 had all that momentum once, like PS4 to PS5, Sony has an incredible amount of momentum where seemingly the only thing that could stop the PS5 from breaking its own records was, you know, like a global pandemic that caused the shortage. I do sit here and I wonder, like, well, what about Horizon 3? And what about the next God of War? And what about Spider-Man 3? And what about The Last of Us Part 3? And I'm just saying these things because I'm like, well, like, what can be changed about these games so fundamentally that when you see them revealed on the PlayStation 6, it makes you go, holy shit. Now, granted, I know some people are going to be like, well, that's not fair. Because, like, people don't have that expectation for Nintendo or Microsoft. I'm not talking about other console manufacturers. I'm talking about Sony, right? I'm talking about Sony and the PS6, you know? But what are they going to do? Like, really, when it's like, here's Horizon 3, and it's like, that's Horizon. Cool. You know, like, I'll buy it. I don't know. I'm trying to. All right, so I'll give you this example. Do you remember during the PlayStation 5 Future of Gaming event, June, you know, look back with me here. June of 2020, Sony has the PS5 event. One of the games that they show off is Horizon Forbidden West. And they had a cinematic trailer. And the cinematic trailer was actually, I think they said it was like in-engine or something. So it was like, it gave us a good idea of like, this is what the game's going to look like. And it did. And, you know, I remember people saw that, and this is why it's so funny. Where it's like I don't know what happened with Horizon that people suddenly act like they hate it. People were losing it. They were like, "Holy shit, bro! Forbidden West looks fire. Like this shit looks amazing." And then they show, Miles Morales. They opened with Miles Morales, and people were like, "No way." I'm just trying to gauge if Sony basically says we're going to repeat that strategy almost entirely. Is that the point where we see in real time yeah, the momentum isn't really there, dude. It's worn off now. If not the novelty, I don't know if novelty is the right word, but the fire that was once there where people were excited to see Forbidden West. Let's say in June 2027, we're sitting there, we're watching a PlayStation 6 reveal event, and then they show a similar trailer. The game will look different. It'll, hopefully it'll look distinct, but here's the Horizon 3 trailer. Is that going to have the same impact? Or is it going to be a situation where it's you got a lot of people who are hype, a lot of people who are excited, but this is not anywhere near what we saw. Where we are after that PlayStation 6 showcase is not the same place we were at the end of that PS5 showcase. I do wonder about this. I really do, because even I hate to say it, but even with Wolverine, man, I don't know if the internet's just changed or my read of the internet has changed, but it feels like Wolverine was such a long time coming, and it had a massive pop for a week, and then it just is okay, we're going into hibernation now, and now I almost see some people being negative towards it. I see people excited, but I'm just saying there's always this big counter now. I'm that wasn't there before, and now it's there for everything. But again, it could just be me reading too much of the internet. I can't tell. And that's why I think that's why I know it's not just Twitter too, Irfan. Sometimes it's just seeing random YouTube comments or Reddit posts and stuff, or just in all these different places I lurk. And formerly Capcom lawyer says, I know Nintendo won't do it, but they have an opportunity to release a more normal console closer to the PS6 hardware. Nintendo fans would go crazy in third-party devs. Well, yeah, dude, I've long wondered why they don't do that. I think they're just afraid. I do. And that's the thing. I don't think that they ever can do that again. Capcom lawyer. I mean, I sometimes think about the long-term future of Nintendo hardware, and I'm I do wonder if they ultimately painted themselves in a corner with the Switch, where it's yeah, I don't know. You took the two things that you were doing separately, fused them into one. Now that's the standard for Nintendo. I don't think you can undo that. I mean, I guess if they really wanted to, they could. Or maybe they could have just a standalone console, like you're saying, similar in power to the PS6, but I don't know. I think that would be disastrous for their entire business model, because everything is Switch 2, Switch 2, Switch 2. But I've long wondered why. Not why, because I know why, but what it would be like if Nintendo chose to go back to the more traditional. I think then you'd see Sony. I mean, that'd be awesome in my opinion. I'd love to see Nintendo come out and be we're doing a normal console, bro. We've decided we're going to be normal now. I think Sony would have to absolutely worry about that. That's when Sony would have to get serious. Okay, these guys are a much bigger threat than Xbox ever was, at this point in time. But then again, how much heavy lifting does the portable form factor of the Switch 2? How much heavy lifting is that doing for that console? You remove that, how relevant is Nintendo hardware in the home console space? Maybe that's why, they don't do it, because they're oh no, we're not going down that road again. We already know the answer to that question. Their president said they don't care for Gen Wars even before the Switch 1. Yeah, and to be fair, I think that that's true for them. And Big Noids comes in and drops a £1 donation. Big Noids, thank you for that, buddy. I do appreciate it. Yeah, guys, we're probably going to be wrapping up here soon. I just realized we're about to hit the 3-hour mark. I think we'll go for like another 10 minutes or so. Maybe another 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Because I pretty much talked about the topics I wanted to talk about today, and we could just hang out for a bit. So we did hit 25 members today, which I'm grateful for. Thank you guys for that. And for everybody who dropped any support through Super Chats. We'll do like a last call. If you want to drop any more support before we wrap up today's stream. Oh, yeah, Irfan, you want me to check out that God of War video? All right, yeah, so maybe like 5 minutes, I'll bring that up. We can check it out. But if you want to drop any more support, any more membership gifts, if you want to become a member, any more Super Chats, now would be the time to do it. They didn't care because they won. Well, yeah, they won in their own way, right? A Horizon game that will be on PC and mobile but not on PS5 is crazy. I agree. But I kind of... We know why. I'm telling you, man. It's because I'm so... Oh, God. I'm not trying to be negative, but like... I don't know what this Guerrilla Games Horizon multiplayer game is going to be like, man. But I'm scared. I'm just so scared. Like I want to be excited. I'm like, this could be good, but I'm just so scared. I really am. I'm so scared for any multiplayer game that Sony hasn't revealed yet. I'm scared for Fair Games. I'm scared for the Horizon multiplayer. I'm scared for Team LFG. I'm scared for Dark Outlaw Games, bro. I don't know what any of these teams are doing and what their games are going to look like, but I'm scared. I'm scared for them. I'm rooting. Like I want good games, bro. I want these games to be good. But I'm scared. Can't deny it. Let me see here. Yeah, Irfan, I have the I have that God of War video up. Let me get this out of here. Okay. The guy who made that God of War remake video is such an edgelord. Wait. Why are you saying that? Damn, dude. All right, yeah, we'll bring it up. We'll check this out. Irfan recommended this video to me. It's like a God of War remake. If PS4 wasn't the baseline, why is Steam Machine Nintendo Switch the baseline of the PS4? Well, I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, Steam Machine has the advantage of being the baseline because, or not the advantage. Steam Machine is targeting the specs that it is because it already benefits from the fact that the baseline on the PC side of things is essentially what will be in the Steam Machine, which is a semi-powerful PC or mid-tier PC that will do 1080p 60 gaming. That's the way it's been on PC for a long, long time. So, like, are there people who have much more powerful rigs that can do a lot more? Yes. But that's, that's like a very small percentage of overall PC gamers. When it comes to the Switch 2, that is the new baseline for Nintendo because it has to be. And that is the separating factor where Nintendo said this is a new generation and we are moving on from the Switch. The Switch 2 is now the new baseline. So, devs are going to develop for PC, obviously. They're going to develop for the Switch 2. And they're going to develop for PS5. I don't think Sony... And I'll wrap this conversation up here and then we'll check out that God of War video. I don't think Sony is going to be able to make the PS6 the new baseline unless again, it all comes down to that handheld, man. Because that handheld is effectively going to be a PS5. And so, if devs are like, yeah, we're targeting our game to work on the PS6 handheld, then it's like, well, then you're targeting the PS5. And if you're targeting the PS5, your game's probably going to be cross-gen. Like, if you're targeting PS5-like specs, then you should probably just release your game on the PS5. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Something, I'm telling you guys. I've been talking about this so much because I'm telling you something's going to be very different. Something's going to be very, very different. I'm not saying in a bad way. I know it sounds like ominous, but something's going to be very different next generation with the PlayStation 6. And I'm all for it. I'm really curious, for better or for worse. I mean, hopefully for better. But yeah, let's bring up this God of War video and then we'll wrap the stream up. Just give me a second while I set this up. We have another super chat from formerly Capcom lawyers saying, I feel Nintendo is underrated. They rose to 101 billion market cap. Sony's at 180 billion, and they have a hand in everything, including making Nintendo IP movies. LOL. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I think Nintendo has proven to be stubborn, but that stubbornness, I think, has also shown to be a kind of, I don't know, almost like what's the word? I'm like losing my words right now. It's proven to be beneficial for them ultimately, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because that stubbornness, even though in the short term it can seem like, I don't know about that, their willingness to just be like, no, we're gonna proceed forward. We have confidence in this. We believe in this. And if that's like exclusivity, their approach to their hardware, strength. It's a strength in a sense. It ultimately converts to a strength. I would like to see PlayStation take a couple of notes from Nintendo's book, but at the same time, it's easy for me to say that because it's like, yeah, it works for Nintendo, it'll work for you too, but I don't know. I don't know that it would work for Sony the same way. Nintendo, one of the things about Nintendo is they're unique. They have a uniqueness to them that I'm not, Sony, I mean, each one's, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they're all unique in some sense, but there's just something about Nintendo where it's between this 40-year history, between the strength of IP like Mario and Pokemon and Zelda, and it's like, they can kind of, they've earned the ability, I guess you could say, the breathing room to just be like, we're going to just do this our way. And yeah, and they rose to 101 billion market cap. Sony, like I said, man, Sony's got to find a new way while not abandoning their old. It's interesting times. All right, let's check this out.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me.
How much is enough, Kratos? When will it end?
Stay true to the song of the siren, Kratos. Your journey begins here.
Yeah, that's looking kind of crazy, though.
Only one item in the world will allow you to defeat a god. Pandora's box.
So, you think you can conquer the Temple of the Gods, do you? Year after year, I open the gate for more and more soldiers and plates. If I were you, I'd leave now.
And when all appears to be lost, Kratos, I will be there to help.
Yo, some of this looks just god awful, bro. Slop of war. Some of it looks good. Some of it's just like, what the hell am I looking at, bro? This looks like one of those like those cursed mobile game ads. It's interesting though. I mean, it's interesting to like imagine what a full remake of God of War would look like. All right. Well, it wasn't as good as I expected. But there were some interesting concepts there, I suppose. But no, that's... I'm not muted now, right? Hopefully I'm not. But guys, I think that's going to wrap up today's stream. I don't want to just drag it out for the sake of it. Watching that AI slop has ruined my day. I mean, yeah, some of that's definitely... Irfin's disappointed. Irfin's like, man, I liked it, though. Irfin coming in with the L. Some other guy did a God of War remake vid. Oh, there's another one. I'm sure there's a few. It was okay. But... all right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's stream. Thank you all for tuning in. We did cover all of our topics. But before I head out, I do want to give a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. If you watch live, thank you so much. If you can't catch it live, but you watch it later, I really appreciate that. Also want to give a big thank you to anybody who dropped support. We hit 25 members today. So thank you for getting us to the goal. And if you dropped a super chat or direct donation, I don't know if we got any direct donations today, but if you dropped any support, I appreciate it. I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible. So thank you so much for that. And also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. If you guys see Devil Shooter in the comments with those timestamps, show him some love, give him some thanks. I know he appreciates it. And Devil Shooter, thank you for what you do, man. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So the only other thing I'm going to ask you to do as you're filing out, if you haven't already, just take a moment and hit that like button. I did put out a news video earlier. You can check that out as well. And we will be back here very soon with another Press X podcast episode and some more content. So, all right, guys, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I will catch you in the next one. Until then, take care, everyone.